Hello, everybody. Okay, we got the show starting in just a little bit here in the chat. Let's see. We've got Observant Servant, Sandra, Dead Sea Scrolls Gaming. How's it going, everybody? I'm going to open up Rumble while I'm at it, see who's hanging out over on the Rumble feed. Very happy with how the Rumblers have been showing up recently. That's very nice. Appreciate all the Rumblers tuning into the show. Oh, geez. Oh, show burps. The show burps are coming. Hold on. I've got a message coming in from Gonz. What is it, Gonzo? Rumble is now up and running. I'm being told Rumble is now up and running. We almost have 2,000 followers on Rumble. That's nice. Good job, Rumble. Okay. All right. We're doing it. Well, we got a great show today. Here's some extra information for you pre-show tuner-inners. If you go to canarycry.report, that's canarycry.report, that will take you to our article submission portal. Yay! Finally, order has been brought to this process. Previously, where when somebody wants to send us an article or a theory of theirs, they send it to any one of our number of emails, or they DM us or something. And while that's all still possible, the best way to get us to take a look at the article you send is to go to canarycry.report and fill out the form. That is going to be very helpful, because previously, I mean, our email box is a mess. Our DMs are a mess. So easy to get lost in the shuffle. If you're trying to send us an article through one of those, routes, not a great chance it'll get the attention that it deserves. But if you go to canarycry.report, you can submit your article to the show, and it keeps it all nice and tidy and organized on our back end, and we will properly be able to take a look at it. So there you go. Pin it, put it on your toolbar, everybody. canarycry.report. And while you're at it, you can go to canarycry-t-shirtcouncil.com and go sign up there. All right, everybody, let's get this show going. Let's do it.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is February 17th, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 592. And today, bye, Susan. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil.
And my name is Gonz, formerly of the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, live to tape from California, cold California, to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's emergent phenomena is boring chaos and cardinal red.
Ooh. You know, chaos often is boring. One of the most powerful tools of the elite is to bore the public to death. Yeah. But not here, folks. Don't worry. All right, Gons, let's open up that big old can of disclaimer.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. And man, I don't know what's going to happen when we get to our lead story, Gons, because, well, the world might be changing.
I think it did. That whole disclaimer is a whole different thing now. It's we're in a new era.
We can either get rid of the disclaimer or we might have to get even more litigious about it.
We need a disclaimer.
More on that later. Let me give you a rundown.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Ding dong, everybody. Susan has stepped down as the CEO of YouTube. What happens next? Who shall replace her? The Ice Queen of online content platforms. We will find out and observe how the mainstream media is reporting this. Then we'll be checking in on FLIPPY and the progress towards the technotopia entirely populated by robots. Believe it or not, I cannot believe it. Believe it or not, we'll have a balloon update. We'll also have a train update. We'll also have the most important things going on in the world are being communicated through trains and balloons. What a life we live in, a world we live in. Then we'll be checking in on the new active shooter defense industry, industrial complex. We've touched on this before, but we shall dig just slightly deeper. And then, of course, we might be months away from a version 1 of universal basic income. Second half of show, we're checking in with old Soros. What does he have to say about DeSantis, and what does DeSantis's supporters have to say about that? And then Trudeau taking some active measures across the sea. Another case of Russia sudden death syndrome and Afrofuturism. The future just marches on, and it's marching towards Africa. And at the end of the show, cow mutilations. Stick around to find out more. Gons, let's start with our lead stories.
I think this is appropriate.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure?
Go to Twitch, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is. You can find all those links at canarycry.party as well. Too hot for YouTube.
YouTube. Now you see me. Now you don't.
Susan is too hot for YouTube. She's got other stuff going on.
That whole jingle has a new perspective.
I know.
It's Susan telling YouTube to say bye-bye.
I felt almost giddy listening to it just now. And I know that that's inappropriate.
Yes,
and it doesn't mean that we're safe or anything.
No,
in fact, it's probably going to get worse. But, it's okay to take a second and feel giddy about it.
Sure. CNBC has the headline, YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says she's stepping down. We have the video here.
Longtime YouTube chief Susan Wojcicki, she is stepping down. She announced so in a blog post, and her garage was famously the first Google office, so she's been there for a long time. She's been in the top position at YouTube for 9 years.
Hold on, is she still in her garage? That's what it made it. I mean, she's been there for a long time.
I didn't know that she was involved in the creation of YouTube. I thought she came in and was put there by Google when Google bought it.
Maybe she was the garage where all the minds met. You know, she was the one serving iced tea.
Yeah, it's like the It's like the Jeff Bezos. Their first desks were all doors. They took off the hinges at the office.
So in a blog post, and her garage was famously the first Google office. So she's been there for a long time. She's been in the top position at YouTube for 9 years, and she's going to be handing over the reins to Neal Mohan. In a blog post, Wojcicki writes, "Today, after nearly 25 years here at the company, I've decided to step back from my role as the head of YouTube and start a new chapter focused on my family, health, and personal projects that I am passionate about." She says that she will help with the transition, and over the longer term, she'll take an advisory role across Google and Alphabet. Scott, this comes at a challenging time for Google. It is seeing narrowing margins, and revenue growth at YouTube is slowing given reduced ad spend and competition from TikTok. YouTube has been building out its own product, YouTube Shorts, but still figuring out how to best monetize this. The end of a chapter, certainly, though. Remember, this was a $1.65 billion acquisition back in 2006. I don't think anyone at the time could have known that YouTube would grow into the behemoth that it is today under Susan Wojcicki. Wow. She was a big part of that.
Oh, she was a big part of creating this behemoth. Oh, it's so sad to see her go.
Yes. The praise that will be lavished on Susan for her incredible tycoonism.
Well, I think they're maybe helping her out with the TikTok front. The Deputy Attorney General did come out and warn against using TikTok citing data privacy. Just as a side note, it's kind of a soft, hey, before we fully ban it and have a Gen Z meltdown. Mm-hmm. You know, just a warning from the government there. But yeah, right. Who's replacing Susan?
Real quick, an oft unmentioned part of the campaign against TikTok is that at the head of the campaigns and the funding is Mark Zuckerberg, Susan Wojcicki. Right. It's the American social media giants that are leading the charge on the campaign against TikTok, of course, as a more successful competitor to those companies. So it's good to keep in mind, no matter what our thoughts about TikTok are, it opens up an opportunity for our own American-born tyrants to take some ground back.
So the whole TikTok thing is also important in context to who is replacing Susan.
Indeed.
The Times of India. Who is Neal Mohan, an Indian American to become CEO of YouTube? All right, so this is, Times of India has a little story about him. He'll be joining a growing list of Indian origin CEOs at the helm of U.S.-based global giants, including Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, Adobe CEO Shantanu Narayan, and Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai. Indra Nooyi also served as PepsiCo CEO for 12 years before stepping down. So, okay.
Previously the Twitter CEO as well.
That's right. Mohan is a graduate in electrical engineering from, take a guess, take a stab at it, Basil. What university do you think he's from?
Considering the recent events, I would say Stanford.
That is correct.
Hey,
is it really surprising that he's from Stanford? I mean,
no.
At this point, it should not be a surprise whatsoever. And just as a side note, okay, we've been ranting and raving about Stanford. They had that language list they came out with a few weeks ago. The certain words that you shouldn't use anymore. We have Sunak, UK Prime Minister. He's Stanford. Also, Bill Gates' daughter, Stanford graduate. That's where she met her husband, who's the Egyptian equestrian guy.
Right.
Sam Bankman-Fried, that whole family, the FTX thing, they're all tied in with Stanford, which, by the way, it just came out as a side note. This is a headline from Bloomberg. These are the Stanford faculty members keeping Sam Bankman-Fried out of jail. Larry Kramer and Andreas Papke signed on as guarantors of that $250 million bail that got SBF out.
That's good to know. That was a mystery there for a while.
It was. So, there's another Stanford $250
million they put up. That's pretty
well. I think
impressive.
They put up 10%, and then the promise that they'll pay the rest or whatever. SBF is getting in a lot of trouble because he's using VPNs to get on the internet, and they're trying to crack down on his internet use while he's not locked down. Also, so here's something just before we go back to Neal Mohan and his whole takeover of YouTube. The Cardinal thing, Stanford Cardinals, right? It just occurred to me, and maybe somebody has pointed it out in the past and I just missed it. But when you think about the Vatican, you have the Pope, and then underneath the Pope are the Cardinals. they're the ones that kind of guide the bishops and archbishops and all that kind of stuff. They're the ones that vote for the new pope. And I was just wondering, if you think about the system and all these Stanford people in positions of power and influence and money and just all the world systems, it's almost like a secular version of the Vatican system where they're like, we're just going to get these cardinals in position. I don't know. I think it's a weird kind of thing because especially if you read the history of the cardinal as the mascot for Stanford, it was actually 1891 when they decided that, they're going to be the cardinal red being chosen as their color. And then
cardinal. Okay. Not the mascot. The mascot of Stanford is a pine tree.
It's a pine tree. I know.
Right. Okay.
So it's, at the beginning, it was just the color. And then in 1930, there was an executive committee for the Association of Students. The athletic department adopted the mascot Indian. So Stanford University was the Indians from 1930 until 1972 when they returned the nickname back to Cardinals in reference to the color, not the bird. So interesting. It's like a dying and rising phoenix cardinal.
Sure. Yeah, well, there was some connections with what was the news in Arizona? Oh, it was the football. It was the football game, the big one.
Yeah, the big one. The
Super Bowl.
The superb owl, yes.
Connections with the Phoenix and Cardinal.
The Arizona Cardinals being the team that plays in Arizona. Yep, there's all kinds of stuff there. But, just a side note with the rabbit trail of Stanford, but let's get back to this Mohan guy here. So there's another article from Fast Company. And the headline here is 6 things to know about new YouTube chief Neal Mohan. All right. So let's learn some things about him. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki was one of the most prominent women in tech. She's stepping down. Neal Mohan, YouTube's chief product officer. And Wojcicki's longtime top lieutenant will take over with the promotion to SVP and head of YouTube. Wojcicki had high praise for Mohan in her announcement, saying, quote, "He has a wonderful sense for our product, our business, our creator and user communities, and our employees. Neal will be a terrific leader for YouTube." And so they have some points here. He's got a strong background in advertising.
Yes,
he's part of the
DoubleClick.
DoubleClick. Yeah, DoubleClick guy. I don't know if you remember DoubleClick, Basil. I do remember hearing the rumblings in the world of entrepreneurship, the DoubleClick stuff. He's overseen YouTube's battle with TikTok. So there's your TikTok reference. TikTok's rapid adoption is one of the biggest threats YouTube has faced, rather than just slapping up a clone of the service, as some other social media sites did, which is funny because Shorts is the clone. Anyway, the division launched YouTube Shorts in September 2020 in a single market, India, to test and refine its short-form content arm. Within 5 months, it was getting 3.5 billion views a day in the country. Today, it gets 30 billion views per day. So they literally, this guy ran the experiment, like just went back to his home country of India and was like, hey, look, TikTok's not big here. Let's just see if we can roll out this YouTube Shorts thing and see if we can make it work. And apparently it worked. And then they released it in America and stuff. So interesting. Shorts is
3
global
interesting.
Now. 3, yeah, there's more. Last September, this is Mohan, made a push for creators to monetize their content, saying YouTube would pay a portion of the revenue Shorts generate, distributing it based on viewership totals, an extension of YouTube partnership program for longer videos. So yeah, we know about that. He played a pivotal role in some of YouTube's biggest products. So he's been part of Shorts, obviously. He was part of YouTube TV, YouTube Music, YouTube Premium. And here's a quote from him. "The best analogy that comes in mind for me is really just thinking about YouTube as a stage," he told Fast Company last year. Viewers need, quote, "the best views possible of the creators that they're most excited about." We're done, Basil. We're so pushed out of the. We're so done.
Yeah, a stage where the venue has a penchant for using the shepherd's crook to pull off anybody who's stepping outside a line.
Yes. He's been working to address extremist content on the platform. I think this is the most troubling part. Last September, Mohan both testified before Congress and attended a White House summit where he unveiled a new content moderation policy at YouTube, targeting violent extremist content on the site. An extension.
He seems to be responsible for
why we're here.
The
like why we're having
censorship,
problems.
yeah, the censorship of specifically conservative content and labeling it, cyberbullying or
violent extremist,
glorification of violence or whatever. Yeah, which we have been falsely accused of all those things.
It's crazy. And cyberbullying is the most hypocritical one for me because it's like, hey, what you guys are doing to us is cyberbullying by saying that we're something that we're not. An extension of existing policies that focused on groups like ISIS, the new policy prohibited content that glorified violence or attempted to recruit or fundraise for extremist groups, even when the content itself wasn't affiliated with a designated terrorist organization.
Right.
That is the key.
And that's seen as like a victory. Like, oh, we kicked off some organizations that are not terrorists. Hooray!
I mean, how the standard by which they are using to to determine if something is of extremist content or not, it doesn't even matter if it's affiliated. They just, I don't know. It's just weird. It's crazy. YouTube at the same time began a media literacy campaign to help viewers, especially younger ones, identify manipulation tactics used to spread misinformation. And I got to say, isn't that why we're here? Aren't we here for media literacy? And
that's one of our main goals.
Trying to provide a grounded, biblical approach to some of that stuff. So I don't know. We're just in competition. We butt heads. Twitter tried hard to recruit him. I won't get into that, but yeah. See, hey, Twitter bad. They couldn't have this guy. YouTube isn't the only business that gets his attention. This is the last part here. While his responsibilities at YouTube demand most of his time and may require even more with his promotion, Mohan is a board member at 2 other companies. Since 2015, he's been on the board at consumer genetics and research company 23andMe.
Yeah, notoriously sold to the Chinese after collecting everybody's DNA.
And in 2020, he joined the board at Stitch Fix, which I didn't know what that. Did you know what that was before?
Oh, yeah.
You did? Okay.
They do a lot of advertising on podcasts. They actually sent us an offer or two early on.
Oh, to us?
Yeah. They're one of the first companies, maybe one of the first, I don't know, one of the bigger companies to really hit the podcast advertising world hard.
Interesting. Okay, so they do like a custom style thing for you, right?
Yeah, like they send you, it's like a box of clothes every month, and yeah, I don't know. You send some back you don't like, keep the ones you do like. And now I'm doing an advertisement for Stitch Fix for free.
So this new guy, he's on the board for Beast Fashion.
Most modeling is kind of acting like a beast, but making it fashion. Beast, but then make it fashion.
There you go. And he's part of the whole DNA thing.
'Cause I'm DNA.
It's not looking good for us, Basil.
Yeah, Stitch Fix was sort of a prime candidate for popularizing the World Economic Forum idea of not even owning clothes, just renting clothes.
Right. Yeah, you will own nothing. Literally, you don't even need clothes. We'll just give you the clothes that you should wear. It makes you look good.
Own clothes? Yeah,
it's unbelievable. So there you go.
Okay, so this guy's very connected. I mean, it makes sense. YouTube being the biggest propaganda machine on the planet or in the dome or whatever you want to say. He's got to be quite connected.
Well, I had that moment when I saw the headline about Susan stepping down. I had that moment of like, this hope fills, the YouTube channel maybe can come back or whatever. And as soon as I started looking into who's replacing it, it's just all washed away like the ocean, comes in, goes out.
My real question is, what is Susan avoiding? What next steps are being taken that she didn't want to be involved with? This is similar. It feels similar and may not be. Maybe she really has enough money and has been released from her bondage to elite servitude, whatever. Or what is coming that she doesn't want to be in charge of. Much like at the beginning, before the pandemic, by the way, months before the pandemic, 15, 20 high-level CEOs stepped down.
Right.
And there was a big turnover right before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Perhaps she just doesn't want the headache of heading up the world's biggest propaganda platform during World War III or whatever. Maybe she's had enough balloons.
Not gonna do it. Yeah, enough balloons. Well, the other part, she mentioned health, which may have been a little wink, wink, nod, nod to maybe she doesn't want to be a part of
whatever.
Yeah. Either the continuation of propagating the message, the big pharma thing, or some kind of exposure where she's not seen in a good light. So
sure,
one or the other.
Okie dokie. Well, Gons, exciting news on an exciting day. It is Friday.
It is Friday.
It's Friday.
Keep playing with the Friday thing.
We're gonna learn today.
Cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job. And you ain't got shit.
Are you not entertained?
Hey, what day is it?
It's Friday. It's Friday.
Woo! That's right. It's Friday, folks. It feels good. It feels good. Are you feeling good, Gons?
Had better days.
Downer. Downer. We got a buzzkill alert, everybody.
Hey, it's my job.
For some reason, I am very excited that it is the weekend.
Well, I'm glad you're excited.
I have no big plans. I have nothing going on. But for some reason, this Friday feels different from other Fridays. Hopefully that's a good sign and not a bad sign. But we made it. We made it through a week of balloons and train crashes, and I'm very proud of everybody for their resilience and appreciate them tuning into the show.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to thank some executive producers?
Yeah, let's just jump right into it. Executive producer time.
Executive producers.
That's right, folks. We are on the value for value model, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. Why would we take corporate money if instead we can be beholden to the people that get value from this show? Corporate money equals corporate influence, whether explicit or implicit. Once you start taking corporate money, your label as independent media should be stripped from you dishonorably. But not here. True independent media means rejecting the system that implies that content cannot exist. Quality news analysis and deconstruction cannot exist without the involvement of corporate support. But not here. We're on the value for value model, which means we take we create value. We create as much value as we possibly can. We provide it to you. And if you get value out of it, you have the opportunity or the responsibility to put value back in. It's the only way that it works. When the circle of value stops turning, so does the show. But thankfully, today's not that day. You can produce the show by giving of your time, your talent, or your treasure, all sorts of ways to produce the show. But the executive producers are those who come in, they are generous with the value that this show brings to their life, and they're generous putting that value back in. So we want to thank them now. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, I'm going to do a quick refresh, but I'm going to start out by thanking our currently one executive producer for today's show. That is executive producer Adam H.
Adam H. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you very much, Adam.
Appreciate it.
Adam H. comes in for $111. 111.
Ooh, thank you.
And he has a note here. It says, "Hey, Basil and Gons, very long time listener, but first time producer. Demooch me, please."
New man, Adam.
Yay. Congratulations, Adam, executive producer Adam H, for the demooching. We love it. Very long time listener. He says, "I wonder how long."
Yeah, how long?
I'm curious. Do you think he's an old timer, a 2012er?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. All right. The note continues. I'm going through struggles, as a lot of us are. Our Heavenly Father is saying, bless others in faith, and his hand is open to bless. Adam H., he says. So let's yes. Let's hit the producers real quick.
Producers, assemble!
That's right. Our producers are producers around the world who are committed to praying for the show, for the producers of the show, for the world. And let's just extend that to everybody, every producer. They are not required to support the show, whether it's their time, talent, or treasure. They are not required, but they are stepping into the sort of revolution that is taking back control of media away from corporations and away from mammon, away from the reliance on the sort of seedier, darker ways that media gets to stay on the earth. We are so grateful we get to stay on the earth, not because we are advertisers for Stitch Fix, but because we provide value enough that people put value back in. And yes, we are so excited to hear when producers of the show receive blessings in all forms, whether it's financial or life circumstances. We've seen it again and again. This is not a name it and claim it tithing message that I'm giving here. I'm just saying we're excited to hear when producers are blessed in their lives, and especially when they bless the show. It's a fun circle. So Thank you very much, executive producer Adam H.
Thank you, Adam H.
Where'd you find this?
And Adam H is in the chat, and he did say 2012. Yeah, he said 2012 was when he started. So he's been there since. He is a long timer. He's
an official OG Canarian. Thank you very much, Adam H. Well, about time we got him demooched then. Thank you very much.
Very few can say that they have a decade with us. That's a long time.
I would probably say not very few, because
really?
Well, that first year we did only average about 100 downloads a month.
That's true.
That first year. But yes, so if you made it all the way since 2012, you're probably like one of 100 people. So you're right, Gons. Okay, and yes, as of now, as I can tell, that is the only executive producer for today. We're very grateful. Thank you, Adam H. But it's not too late to produce the show. Anybody out there listening in podcast land, you can head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. That's right, folks. You know what the air horn means. It means we've got a very important alert, perhaps the most important news to come across our desk today, and that is we have some new members of the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. Yes, the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council, a secretive, dark organization meeting in smoky rooms in the most elite
No, I don't like this at all. No, this is not that you're misdirecting the public. Are you trying to lure in the Satanists, and then boom, you slap them with the gospel once they're in?
Illuminati of the Canary Cry realm. No, these are the new members of the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. For years, as executive producer Adam H. will know, for years people have asked us to make T-shirts, and we said no. No, we're podcasters, not T-shirt makers. And still, we are not in the business of retail. But what we have committed to doing, and we are so excited to be announcing again and again and again, is that we are here to give away free T-shirts to producers who are committed to keeping the show going. So you can head to canarycrytshirtcouncil.com, and if you commit to supporting the show for $19.84 every month, we will begin sending you free T-shirt after free T-shirt after free T-shirt. Years of Canary Cry artists have given us a wealth of material to create the coolest, most comfortable T-shirts is proclaiming the best podcast in the metaverse. The truth will never go out of style. And the people who join the Canary Cry T-shirt Council are officially the most important people in the world. And we have some people to thank now. Are you ready?
Yes.
Most important person in the world, Sir Child of God.
Thank you, Sir Child of God.
We might need to look up Sir Child of God's full night name. Do you have the round table pulled up?
Not in front of me, but I can do it real quick.
Okay, that would be awesome because I used to have it memorized and I do not any longer. Yeah. It probably would have been last year, maybe middle of last
this
year.
This might be one that's not on here.
Oh, well, that is something we definitely need to rectify. Yeah. Let me see. You did a little search?
I did, yeah. Hold on.
Oh, no. Wow, maybe it wasn't Sir Child of God. Child of God was... Oh, wait. Is there a Sir James?
Yes, there is. There's Sir James, knight and servant of the Line of Judah, defender of the destitute and the helpless.
That is him. That's Child of God. Thank you very much, Sir James. Most important person in the world. Next up, we've got most important person in the world, Luke H.
Luke H. Thank you, Luke.
Thank you, Luke. We've got most important person in the world, Matthew E.
Hey, Matthew. Hey, we got Luke and Matthew. We got James. These are all biblical names, man.
All biblical names.
And here comes, we got everybody.
The most biblical name of all. We've got most important person in the world, Arnold W.
Arnold W. Yes, the Book of Arnold. We've all read from the Book of Arnold.
Saint Arnold. Oh, well, there you go. That concludes our current list of new members of the Canary Cry T-shirt Council. And for those who are wondering, this is a great way to support the show, a great way to get a new T-shirt custom created. It is printed by Canarians. The business that gets supported through this program is not only the show, but owned and operated by a Canarian. So you're supporting us, you're supporting other producers, getting cool shirts. It's really a great deal. We've closed the circle on keeping value in the Canary Cry family, which feels really good. And they're printed in America. So there you go. Build shirts better. Okay, that's it. I think it is time to get on with the show. Oh, wait. Time out. Pause the jingle. I did have an announcement, quick announcement. And that is we are happy to announce the new platform for sending in articles. For years, people have sent us articles in our DMs, in our email box, and it is really just a shot in the dark if Gonzo or I will see the articles that you want to send us. If you want to submit an article for consideration on the show, go to canarycry.support. No, that's not it. canarycry.report. That's what it is. canarycry.report. That is where you can submit articles to the show. This all gets very organized and stuff in our back end. This is the best way to send us your theories, your articles, your stories, all that kind of stuff. canarycry.report. We are going to start making sure anybody who sends us an article puts the article through this portal. There's just a couple questions. It has all the stuff we need to hear from you. And yeah, best way to send in stories to the show, canarycry.report. Now, Flippy Update.
Flippy Update.
Do you want fries with that?
That's right, folks. Time for the Flippy Update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore broadly how robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. It's been a bit of a push and pull, an interesting conflict between the robo heads and the human lovers. about who will win, how many of our jobs will be taken by robots, when will they be taken. And Wall Street Journal has traditionally been a little bit more on the human side. It's been interesting, but I'm not sure if this is the most effective way to do this. This is coming from wallstreetjournal.com. The headline is "Companies are slow to adopt robot-operated dark warehouses."
Dark
warehouses. During the pandemic, we, started reporting on dark warehouses, which is warehouses that are almost entirely staffed or operated by robots. And the idea is if you have a bunch of robots in there, you don't need to light the warehouse. So they call them dark warehouses. And this is certainly on its way and will eventually become, not only will they be dark warehouses, but it'll be dark restaurants, dark preschools, dark universities, dark governments. There will be no humans at all, okay? We understand how this works. Yeah. But the Wall Street Journal comes in and says, this is kind of happening slower than expected, mainly because,
the light is too powerful.
Yeah, right. Yes,
we always lose to the light.
We must shine a light in the darkness. Interesting how, the implication of shining a light in the darkness means that there's no need for robots or something. I don't know. But let me get into it. It opens up like this. More companies are exploring ways to staff warehouses with robots, but may have to wait a few years for the technology to catch up, which is kind of like, yeah, duh. I mean, we know that. Even the most pro-robot takeover analysis is like, yes, robots are going to kill us all and take over the world. Probably won't happen for a few more years, though, so don't get excited. The way the past 3 years went, we'll probably blink, and suddenly we ourselves will all become robots, and we hadn't even noticed it happening.
9.
What?
Nothing. Continue.
Okay. I'm going to skip down to about the fourth or fifth paragraph here.
Okay.
And it's got some interesting details. In 2019, German online pharmacy company Apo.com Group opened a 220,000 square foot warehouse in the Netherlands that uses automation to handle 25,000 to 30,000 orders a day with about 20 employees on each of 3 shifts. The company invested more than $100 million in the building and the automation, said Michael Fritsch, the company's founder and former chief executive. Mr. Fritsch said a manual warehouse would have required roughly 400 employees and about twice as much square footage to fulfill the same number of orders. So not only do you need more employees, but you also need more space. He said he also would have had to hire licensed pharmacy professionals for those roles and would have faced challenges in finding that number of qualified people and paying their higher salaries.
Wow.
So often we think of warehouse robots as replacing sort of lower level jobs, the
menial jobs or kind of
and lower paid jobs. I don't think there's such thing as a no skill job, but the elites consider warehouse work to be a lower skill job. They're not making the big bucks. It's fairly straightforward. There's not, as far as I know, I could be wrong, but there's not a whole lot of brain power or college education needed for this type of thing. It's not knowledge work, basically. Right. Whereas a pharmacy professional is a much more licensed situation. So we talk about the sort of lower or middle class jobs being taken away by the robots, but in this case, they're talking about pharmacy professionals, maybe pharmacy technicians. You got to go to school for a couple years or something, and you get paid more than whatever $40,000 a year or something. So we're talking about, and here's the thing: this warehouse would not have been possible is kind of what they're trying to say.
Right.
You cannot get 400 pharmacy technicians in the same town. At least that's what we're learning from this.
That's what they're saying, in the article.
That's what they're saying. So the existence of a pharmacy warehouse pumping out 30,000 orders a day, it would be an impossibility. So it is the robots that create their own sort of job stealing opportunities.
How come these robots? Well, I guess these robots are programmed with all of the necessities and qualifications of a pharmacist.
Exactly. So when it comes to pharmacists, they, I know a pharmacist by their own account. It's basically, you're almost literally bean counters. You're sitting there, you're counting pills.
Yeah.
And of course, you've got some skills and knowledge about what the drugs do. But more or less, the minute-to-minute work is counting pills. And now the reason you have licensed pharmacists and stuff is because, of course, you don't want drugs disappearing. You want them held accountable. You don't want just anybody walking in off the street having access to, pharmaceuticals. So they have to be licensed, stuff like this. But the robots are not going to steal all the Vicodin and the oxycodone. The robots... There's no threat that the robots are going to, become black market Vicodin dealers, at least as of now. Yeah, right.
We've seen Bender.
As soon as they get, exactly. They get some entrepreneurial spirit code involved, and then we'll see what happens. So in this case, you have the robots not only centralizing 400 pharmacy technician jobs into one building when it would have been impossible before, but you're also taking away jobs that are you go to school to get a license for and an education for. No longer is it simply a warehouse worker, a stuff mover getting replaced, which I think is an interesting development on this scale, because we've seen the AI lawyers or the AI artists or something, but those aren't really at scale right now. But replacing 400 pharmacists at scale is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
It goes on to this quote: "You don't find this amount of pharmacists in one town. So that's the problem," he said. "We wouldn't be able to do this without the robots. So we just wouldn't be able to do it. It wouldn't exist without the robots. The warehouse uses robotic picking arms from the Right Hand Robotics Incorporated of Somerville, Massachusetts, that are capable of picking 97% of the pharmacy's inventory, given the relatively uniform size of items," Mr. Fritsch said. And then it goes into some more sort of nationwide details. There was a fun... They go back to talking about why more warehouses have not done this, but they are referring to this one warehouse when they say, "Mr. Jensen said it is complex to train a robotic arm to pick up some 50,000 different types of grocery items that are in all kinds of packaging. Ocado also experienced 3 fires in 3 years at its warehouses due to robots colliding, an electrical fault in a battery charging unit, and a fire that broke out outside a warehouse in waste packaging container." Mr. Jensen said the company made changes after the first fire in 2019, limiting damage from later fires. So just a little bit of safety concerns thrown in there as well.
No, those were that was either a suicidal robot. We're gonna have to find out what kind of robotitarian, injustices were taking place. That
sure,
happened.
Yes, roboticist.
So anyway, that's interesting. That's
robot-acist, yeah. So this is an example. What was most striking to me is while the Wall Street Journal is kind of reporting on how, don't worry, you've got a couple more years until all warehouses are dark. Thank you, Wall Street Journal. But you have the creation of these warehouses, specifically in this case, the pharmacist one, that could not exist. It would be impossible to centralize economics, the money made from a giant warehouse, centralize the service, that is ordering pharmaceuticals online and having them delivered through one warehouse. It just would be impossible. So who says robots are not creating opportunity for for warehouse owners?
The model moving forward with stuff like this, what they'll try to do, and this kind of gets into the territory of UBI, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's also the my favorite topic to bring up on the show, which is DAOs. Because if once people can, let's say this warehouse creates its own token, and then people can invest in that token, which is basically investing in like a dark warehouse.
Here we go.
Then you make your money from the profit that you get, and so everyone's happy, and the robots are happy. You get a vote. You get a vote in how the robot warehouse operates. That's the future, folks. But anyway.
Well, I think the one last sort of nail in the coffin of this situation is that is a lot of capability for delivering drugs, and it is sort of connected to the mental health crises, the reliance on pills and medications for healthcare instead of also, just not eating processed foods or whatever. And it is equipping the sort of notoriously shadowy big pharma company to cut out middlemen. In a way, you have so many middlemen between the actual big pharma company and you, but with restricted chemicals and drugs like this, to be able to do a direct from manufacturer kind of business model is incredibly profitable for big pharma. So there's a lot of different aspects of what's wrong with this world wrapped up in this robot pharmacy.
Yeah, and we've heard about the drone delivery system, but maybe it's not drones, maybe it's balloons.
You said that this is violating our airspace, so why not take it down?
Yeah, so, clearly as we assess options and considering the size of the payload on this, looking at the potential for debris and the impact on civilians on the ground or property damage.
Please describe America to me in one single word.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was the foothills of the...
We're all tired of the balloons, but we got a couple quick things here. Actually, one quick thing from the balloon. And that is aviationweek.com. This was being shared around. Hobby Club's missing balloon feared, shot down by U.S. Air Force.
Oh, no.
This is how the Civil War begins. It's the civilian balloons being shot down.
Oh, no.
A small globe-trotting balloon declared missing in action by an Illinois-based hobbyist club on February 15th has emerged as a candidate to explain one of the three mystery objects shot down by 4 heat-seeking missiles launched by U.S. Air Force fighters since February 10th. The club, the Northern Illinois Bottle Cap Balloon Brigade, there's the 3 Bs. There's the Build Back Better triple Bs in the name.
That is adorable, though. I want to join a balloon club.
They're not pointing fingers yet, but the circumstantial evidence is at least intriguing. The club's silver-coated, partly-style Pico balloon reported its last position on February 10th at 38,910 feet off the west coast of Africa in a popular forecasting tool, the HySplit, or HySplit, model provided by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration projected the cylindrically shaped object would be floating high over the central part of the Yukon Territory on February 11th. That's the same day a Lockheed Martin F-22 shot down an unidentified object of a similar description and altitude in the same general area.
I love how they gave the brand of the F-22.
Of course. Aviation Week, man. They gotta spice it up.
Totally.
I tried contacting our military and the FBI and just got the runaround to try to enlighten them on what a lot of these things probably are, and they're going to look not too intelligent to be shooting them down, says Ron Meadows, the founder of Scientific Balloon Solutions, a Silicon Valley-based company that makes purpose-built Pico balloons for hobbyists, educators, and scientists. And it goes on here. I mean, it goes into pico balloons and stuff. But this is. We knew that this was, and the White House has come out and said, "Oh, they're probably." I'm wondering, and this is just No.
No.
Oh, I was just going to say that perhaps in the context of the whole Chinese thing, they didn't want to escalate with China, so they shot down a few more balloons to make it seem like, see, no, we're not targeting you, China, with your spy balloon. We're just targeting all balloons that are in our airspace.
That is interesting. That is an interesting take on it. Why did they shoot down balloon after balloon after balloon after they would have known that there are so many balloons and have been forever floating over?
Yeah, it might have been a diplomatic geopolitical move with China to try to push back the war a little bit.
Yeah, kind of, yes. Like you tell one lie and then you got to tell a whole bunch of other lies to make your one lie not a big deal. Exactly. Yeah, try to muddy the waters. Just start shooting down balloons all over the place just to
it's not you, China. Look at all these balloons.
Yeah,
and
it's
then the
not
hobby
you.
club is like, hey, wait a minute. I think the government shot down our balloon.
It's not you, it's us. We shoot down all balloons. Don't worry.
Maybe Joe can message them and say, your balloon sacrificed for the country. The country's safety.
Yeah, we need restitution for this balloon club.
For the balloon club, for sure.
If somebody needs to pay for this balloon club's shut down balloon. Although it's kind of cool to be in a club that was, created some sort of national security threat.
That's true. You're right.
Floating around Canada.
That's a badge to put on your sash.
Yeah, one of our balloons. Yeah, that would be a merit badge if they have one in that club. My balloon got shot down by an F-22. There was a clip. I think he did mention, he being Biden, he came out about the balloons again recently and didn't say anything really. And it was kind of, people were looking into it. But he did mention that, one or some of the balloons could have been recreational. Right. And I'm thinking like, okay, how to spot a recreational balloon. What's the deal? I was considering for a while, now that I'm out of the big city, I'm out in the country, I was considering getting into hot air ballooning. It's surprisingly cheap, Gons, to buy a hot air balloon. Yeah. Have I talked about on the show how I used to work with hot air balloons?
No. No.
Yeah.
You are a balloon agent. You have been placed on. It's been the 13th. It's been revealed. I've called you out. Illuminatus. You were placed to comment on the balloon.
I just happened
from the
it definitely helped
on the ground
me recognize.
Or in the hot air.
Settle down. It helped me recognize, that balloons were going to be the most important thing in the world for a moment.
Sure.
No, but it was like one of my first jobs. I was like 16 or something, and I worked for a guy who took whatever romantic partners or
it's just those the little
just
balloon.
A little hot air balloon.
Yeah. Okay.
Just take them up, float around for a little bit, and then land. And I was barely old enough to work. I don't even know if I was legally allowed to work there, but I was very young. And part of riding in a hot air balloon, if anybody's done it, is you get the balloon all set up, you fill it full of hot air, and it takes off, and you're just sort of at the will of...
Oh, no. Of course it cuts out. Sorry, you cut out for a second there. At the will of what? No. Nature? Wind?
Yeah, you're just at the will of the air. You can't control a balloon, of course. You just kind of go up there, and wherever it blows you that's where you go. And I must have been 16 because I had my driver's license. And for every hot air balloon that goes up into the sky, somebody has to chase it around. I was a hot air balloon chaser. So I'd hop in a big van with a trailer on the back and chase this balloon around for wherever it landed.
If they handed you an F-22, how much easier would your job been?
That's what I'm saying. It would have been way easier to just be able to shoot the balloon down. There was times that the balloon I was working on would land just in the middle of the street. And I was like a tiny little 16-year-old having to pull it down and fold it up and load it on a trailer, constantly having to drive this van just out into the middle of the wilderness because the balloon got blown off course or something. So I was considering, now that I'm out of the big city, getting back into hot air ballooning. But now,
not anymore.
Keep shooting these suckers down.
Not unless you want Joe to shoot you down.
I cannot give them any more reason to take me out. That would be far too easy.
Yeah, it's like a billboard for the intelligence agencies. You know,
come
that
and
airspace.
Get me. Yeah.
When are we going to commercialize that airspace so that we can just someone can just pay and you can have a balloon with your advertisement on there?
What? National Defense Airspace?
Yeah. Military industrial complex.
Yeah, shoot me down. If you have your advertisement on the side of a balloon that gets shot down, you're going to get worldwide coverage for a whole week.
Coverage. Yeah, chosen. You're the chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
Sacrifice has been made.
Make sure to take out a good insurance policy on the balloon in case of F-22. Anyways, yeah, poor hobbyist. Now, I don't know if I totally believe this. This would be an easy cover.
Yeah.
But it may be the case.
Well, you get a guy, you want some attention for your club, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dark Joe.
Ooh, do they have a...
Dark Joe meets him in the alley.
Have they done a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe or something, or a relief fundraising page for their balloon club?
I'm not sure.
They should. If they haven't, they really need to do that.
Yeah, they probably can.
They would make $1 billion.
Yeah, I don't know about $1 billion, but yeah, sure, great, good job, America.
Illuminati.
That's right. And we're gonna move from one tragedy to another here.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence.
It's not obvious that it's artificial intelligence, but we'll get there.
That one was a little jump the gun.
We'll
but that's
get
okay.
there. We'll get there.
Real quick, just because we said there would be more, there are more. But there's a couple details here. This is WMAR2news.com. Train carrying hazardous materials derails in Michigan. Another train derailment yesterday. And it reads like this. A train carrying hazardous materials derailed in Michigan Thursday morning. At least 6 cars were off the tracks in Van Buren Township, which is about 30 miles southwest of Detroit. Officials say only one of the train cars was carrying hazardous materials, and it's reportedly showing no sign of leaking or damage. And then it goes into more stuff about how this train derailment fuels anxiety across the country, and then goes into East Palestine.
Well, fuels anxiety. The job is done. You don't need
I think
else,
that's the first clue. Yeah. That's the first clue as to what we're going to get to eventually, talking about this is the latest train derailment to fuel anxiety across the country. Mm-hmm. So they didn't say it was the latest train derailment, period. It wasn't, whatever. It says this is the latest one fueling anxiety. And why is it fueling anxiety? Because they're covering it on the news. Nobody would know about it if it wasn't for the media. Do you have any details on this one?
Not much. There is a Fox report of the same story. Train derails outside Detroit, Michigan, with one car carrying hazardous materials. I think the sort of not being in the train rail industry, really, my first question was, how often does this happen? How often does a train derail, and how often do they spill hazardous materials? Right. And we did get a comment on YouTube, somebody named Billy M, who said, as a current railroad employee, derailment happens quite often. So I asked them, how often do they spill harmful chemicals, though? And they wrote back, a lot when a train is built. Hazmat material is on almost every train, whether it's a container or tank car. For some reason, the media is highlighting these derailments now. I think we know the reason. We'll get into it.
That's the question. For some reason, the media is choosing to make this a bigger deal now.
Yes.
I think we should play this clip real quick. We finally got some got some comments out of old Pete Buttigieg, our Secretary of Transportation.
Look, rail safety is something that has evolved a lot over the years, but there's clearly more that needs to be done because while this horrible situation has gotten a particularly high amount of attention, there are roughly 1,000 cases a year of a train derailing.
Oh, 1,000 a year. Hey, that's like, what, 2.5 a day or something?
Yeah. It turns out more than three a day. Turns out that there's, roughly 3 train derailments every day in the country. Now, what does that mean exactly? Are they all huge, disastrous, explosions? No. Are some of them just, one car derailing in a train yard or something like this? Probably. There's a range of severity to these train derailments. However, like 1,200 a year is a lot of train derailments. That's 4 train derailments a day.
Yeah.
And this is fun because it's the mainstream sort of catching up to what we've been talking about, which is it has now become obvious that the coverage of train derailment after train derailment after train derailment is more of a product of the media than it is of reality, objective reality, similar to the balloon situation. We've all since learned that there's balloons over our heads 24/7 watching, waiting for their opportunity to strike. Some hobbyists going up, sending up balloons. So in the same way, we have train derailments. Trains are derailing all the time. And it seems as though, if you have a train and it has 50 cars and it's bringing products here and there, at one train could have millions of products from a bunch of different companies. That's just how transportation works in this country. That's how logistics transportation works. Yeah. There's a pretty good chance that any one of the trains is going to have hazardous materials. And, with 4 derailments a day, it's a chance that one of them will have hazardous materials. Now, it is the goal, it is the charge, it is the MO of the mainstream corporate news media, not simply, or perhaps not at all, report objective facts to keep people, up to date on all the happenings around the world. But their job is literally to build history as it happens, building the worldview of the population on a day-to-day basis, and giving them the data that then goes into programming the software that is their worldview, which then, as we talked about earlier in the train situation, the worldview of the public dictating the support for policy change. It's always about policy change.
Yeah, it's like engineering public sentiment almost.
Exactly.
Creating the climate, the social climate and public climate in order for politicians to step in with policy changes or whatever their agenda is.
Or whatever. Yeah. And it might not be government policy, it might be corporate policy, it could be any number of things. But the corporate media's job is to basically program the public. And this is done through history writing, narrative crafting, worldview creation, programming of the public. So the question there is, why would the foundation of whatever worldview or narrative that the media is currently charged with crafting, why would it have to do with balloons? Why would it have to do with trains? To what ends do the ruling elite class want us to be worried about these things? I mean, you could easily, especially with the hazardous material talk, easily point towards climate change, WEF, ESG initiatives. You can also easily point to, of course, as timing so happens to be with Biden on a regular basis, He's got his infrastructure bill that he's trying to, to gain public positivity on. You've got Pete Buttigieg, who has bandied around the idea of running for president. Now, if Biden, who it's still up in the air whether he's going to be running or not, probably will, but there have been some, groundhogs.
Some Democrats who don't like that.
Exactly. There's some groundhogs poking their little heads out of their holes on the Democratic side, and Pete Buttigieg was one of them. He was there was talk about will Pete run in 2024. Well, the fact is Pete Buttigieg is Secretary of Transportation, and in the last 3 months, you've had the airline breakdown, you've had the train breakdown, you've had the balloon crisis. He's getting
the lob for the alley-oop.
See, I think that he's being sabotaged, or at least a message being sent by Biden or the Democratic establishment.
Step back.
Like,
you're
a step back there,
transportation guy. And maybe that's why he doesn't say anything about the chemical spills. He's more worried about the train part.
Yeah, seems that way. Yeah. So there you go. There was another train derailment, and there will be more train derailments. But what does this look like with policy? Or, more interestingly, what does this mean for what we know to be the sort of technocratic plan for the future?
Artificial intelligence.
So we're here at the Congress.gov HR 3684 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act document page here. If you look at the tracker, it's become law. So it's here. It's happening.
This is law. Okay.
This is law. That's what it says. And it does mention trains quite a bit. There's a few of them that I highlighted here just for the purposes of looking at this today. And it had to do with actual train services, and they had laid out some studies to look at the quality of the trains and the procedures and the workers and the control systems. And there's a whole thing about trains, which would make sense why Pete Buttigieg is even mentioning, the whole train side of things and what we need to fix the blah, blah, blah. For some reason, there's a high-speed train noise emission issue that they're trying to tackle. So that's just
all sorts of great. By the way,
they're very loud when they explode.
Just to mention, in addition to all of the interesting timing of the train derailments, there's also the issue of the railway workers union and the big fight that happened late last year, where the Biden administration ended up threatening railway workers with jail if they don't shut their mouth and get back to work, when they weren't given any sick days or anything like that. So, there is also the interesting angle of, hey, these railway workers, I'm either, are sabotaging or whatever, could be some sort of weird angle to it. But why do we have human railway workers at all type of thing? Right.
So, the train part of it, obviously it's in the infrastructure bill. But the other thing that's mentioned in here a few times is artificial intelligence. I know AI is all the talk, ChatGPT, but I also think it's because part of the solution that's being provided with the infrastructure bill has to do with AI being integrated into all the systems that will replace whatever it is now that's failing in terms of the infrastructure. So it actually says here, there's a secretary needs to come up with a report less than a year after this thing goes into law. Artificial intelligence, let me see here. The Committee on Energy and Commerce of the House of Representatives, they need a report that assesses using digital tools and platforms as climate solutions, including artificial intelligence, talk about blockchain, Internet of Things. And then they also have
more like blockchain. Am I right?
Yeah, blockchain. Hey. Smart manufacturing, which also includes artificial intelligence as part of that, smart computation. Seeing AI as part of the solution is something that I don't think anyone's making too much of a connection. I know it's pretty obvious when you start looking at it. For example, we have Aviation source news here. Why airlines need artificial intelligence to survive a recession. This is published on the 15th of 2023, so just a couple days ago. But basically, they're saying, hey, the entire aviation system needs an AI facelift, basically. And similarly, there's a similar sentiment in the rail industry. There's a company called AdLink, and they sell hardware, AI hardware, and they used for centralized traffic control, AI-enabled video analytics platform, and one of their targets is rugged railway systems. So they have products specifically for railway systems to integrate AI. So maybe a company like this is something that the government is looking at. And also Siemens, I think they have certain what's their product line? I forget what the main.
Oh, they have a bunch of stuff.
But it's like
they're one of these everything companies.
Okay, yeah, I know them from like dishwashers or something, or I don't know. Well, anyway, they have an article here putting the AI on rails, and same idea. The argument here is to create a better system using AI for automation and all that kind of stuff for the train system. So I think, all this chat about AI has to do with stuff like this, where the public is more aware of something like ChatGPT, and made me go down this big rabbit trail about AI being sort of the nuclear energy of the 21st century, where there's some breakthroughs. It's being used in the context of war. Perhaps there is a catastrophe associated with it, like we had with the atom bomb and stuff in Japan. But also afterwards, there's a council that's created, or several councils, world councils, things of that nature, to facilitate the distribution of that technology under compliance and all that kind of stuff. We'll probably see that, and I'm sure this infrastructure bill is part of that. And AI being, again, similar to nuclear energy, there's a real dangerous side to it. But there's also this potentially great side to it, where it helps us with climate change and helps us build better infrastructure for our trains and our planes and our. So I don't know.
It's part of the great reaction solution to integrate AI and robotics into the rail industry.
It's the big, the fuel, the bloodline of the Great Reset, kind of. The blood itself.
We see it over and over.
Lastly, Eric Schmidt is building the perfect AI war fighting machine. It's according to Wired.com, former CEO of Google. He's the guy that they recruited at Burning Man, by the way, is on a mission to rewire the U.S. military with cutting-edge artificial intelligence to take on China. Will it make the world safer? So there you go. I mean, AI is taking over everything, and I think part of the whole train thing, maybe even the balloon thing, is to start integrating those systems into the infrastructure.
Right. I mean, that's the Hegelian dialectic at work. You pick a problem that you want to integrate the solution, then you push the problem in ways that are outside of objective reality, and then the fear becomes anger, and the anger becomes an opportunity to manipulate the public. This is just another example of AI getting its open door into inclusion into some formerly maybe unthought of industries.
I can picture once they know the shutting off TikTok in the US is going to be a meltdown moment for Gen Z and younger. And I'm wondering if they're trying to facilitate some kind of situation where when that happens, they will have not a product, but some kind of system where you can join the military with AI, or help some kind of AI thing for the military to fight China. Because all this stuff.
Wait.
How do you get young people
shutting off of TikTok?
Yes,
is going to inspire Gen Z to join the military to go to war with China?
If the excuse is because we're at war with China, I think there's a portion of Gen Z that can be politically or emotionally or psychologically motivated to join the military. In that
somebody get this guy another roll of red yarn. That's he's used it all up, folks. But speaking of which, I'll lend you some of my guns. Some of mine. Speaking of AI and integrations into industries. Let's talk about some mind and gun control.
Mind and gun control.
Mind control research intensifies.
Gun violence is an epidemic.
Yahoo.com being mirrored by the New York Times. In a violent America, safety becomes a sales pitch, which is, again, just a beautiful headline saying the loud or the quiet part out loud, which is, problem, reaction, solution, the Hegelian dialectic at work. In a violent America, meaning if you make America violent, safety becomes a sales pitch. Yes. The school year was starting in 10 days, and Donald Keegan was a busy man, an associate superintendent of the North Syracuse Central School District. Keegan had to make sure the bus drivers were trained, the cafeterias fully staffed. He had a tour to lead that afternoon and a school board meeting in the evening. But that late August morning, Keegan took time to attend a demonstration inside a local factory where he observed a series of windows being obliterated by an AR-15 style rifle.
Man, that's got to be part of the quota. Nobody talks about AR-15 style rifles except mainstream media. It's so weird.
Yeah, right. Keegan was joined by other school officials from Central New York, a school custodian, and a pair of school architects. They stood with their arms crossed as Tom, I don't know how to say this, CZYZ, Sizz, maybe?
Sizzes.
I'm going to say Sizz, the founder of Armored One, a company that sells protective glass and film, fired more than 30 rounds out a window at close range. The room shook with skull-rattling force. By the end of the presentation, Sizz's arms were speckled with shards of glass and dripping with blood.
Oh my gosh.
What?
What kind of presentation is this?
Why so much blood?
Aren't they supposed to be... Isn't this supposed to be a pro? Okay, anyway, continue.
I don't know why it was dripping with blood.
The glass cut him.
It's sad, really, Keegan said later in an interview, quote, but it's part of our job to make sure kids don't get shot. That is part of the current reality. I would argue it's probably always been a part of your reality. I mean, from the inception of school, I'm pretty sure part of their responsibility was making sure that kids don't get
children,
shot. Of all the troubling aspects of gun violence, among the most dispiriting, maybe the scenes like the one in the Syracuse, New York glass factory. Preparing school administrators for a mass shooting is becoming routine. Rising gun violence, punctuated by massacres such as the attack at the elementary school in Uvalde, Texas last year, and the shooting on Michigan State University's campus this week, is fueling not only the debate over gun control, but is also a more than $3 billion industry of companies working to protect children or employees against mass murder. Ooh. The offerings are numerous: automatically locking doors, bullet-resistant tables, Kevlar backpacks, artificial intelligence that detects guns, and countless types of training exercises, like breathing techniques to avoid panic during an attack, or strategies on how to use a pencil to pierce a shooter's eyes.
Yeah,
breathing
that's
techniques or Krav Maga. Those are the two. But even as Congress increases funding for school security measures, including $300 million to help schools, quote, prevent and respond to violence as part of a bipartisan gun control compromise, the effectiveness of the school security industry's products and services remains largely unproven.
It's because they haven't deployed the robots yet.
Yeah. Well, it's a very new industry. Quote, this is an entire industry that capitalizes on school shootings. However, these companies, I mean, how rattling is that just opening
I think this
to the
guy's
quote?
Critical of it, which is why he's
let's
speaking
see.
that way.
This is an entire industry that capitalizes on school shootings. However, these companies have very little evidence that what they are selling works, said Otis Johnson, the executive director of the Johns Hopkins Center for Safe and Healthy Schools and a Bloomberg distinguished professor at the university. They have a parenthetical here. Billionaire Michael Bloomberg, an alumnus, has been a major supporter of gun control efforts. Great. Don't know. I mean, that's interesting. Schools and apartments have to be built to withstand fires and earthquakes, and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration issues fines for hazardous working conditions. But there is no equivalent of rigorous and standard monitoring of whether an employer is reasonably prepared for an active shooter. This regulatory netherworld, industries executives say, is partly the result of the nation's political paralysis over guns. Many say protective windows and backpacks would not be necessary if guns, particularly military-style rifles, faced more restrictions. Creating standards for school security against guns, some believe, would be seen as giving into the notion that mass shootings are a part of American life, that they can be defended against but not eliminated. So you can see the tension sort of being presented in this New York Times article, which is, look at these companies who are trying to keep kids safe, but we wouldn't need these companies to keep kids safe if we just got rid of guns.
Yeah, and interesting. Kind of a kill two birds with one stone kind of thing, where you can hate guns and also hate industry, hate corporations.
And that's kind of the subtlety of this article. And we run a risk, Gons, of getting a little bogged down in this article because it is very dense and it is very long. Yeah. But the core of what's being communicated by New York Times here is this weird tension between both wanting to ban guns or control more gun control measures, and also having a disdain for capitalism at the same time, because the idea of, this next paragraph kind of gets into it. Sis said that political leaders who did not support stepping up security measures at schools or hardening them were naive. Quote, if you aren't for hardening the schools, then unlock your front door, unlock your windows, and let whoever in, he said. It typically costs about $350 to install an armored one protective window in a classroom door, which Sis said could slow down someone trying to shoot his way into a locked room. With each new mass shooting, more schools and businesses, even in parts of the country that support stricter gun control, which is a fun little detail because, as we know, the most democratically controlled municipalities are the ones with the most shootings, right? Even in parts of the country that support stricter gun control are taking steps to bolster the security of their buildings and train their staff. In a survey of more than 1,000 public schools last year by the National Center for Education and Statistics, a research arm of the Education Department, the majority said they were taking some measures, such as putting locks on doors. Good job. Let's put some locks on those doors to defend against shooters. As the threat of violence grows, so is the industry that is offering ways to stop it. And just as a reference back to our conversation about the trains and the balloons, about how it's the media focusing more on reporting the amount of train collision or train derailments, which has been over 1,000 for a long time. Same with balloons. There's millions of balloons floating around the world. And as has been pointed out before with the school shooting situation, there's school shootings all the time. And there has been for a very long time. The idea that when you see a school shooting reported in the news, that is like the next one on the list is just erroneous. They happen all the time, and they always have. I believe there was, when there was a big conversation about there was no school shootings until Columbine. That was proven wrong because there's reports of school shootings like 100 years ago going on in this country. So it's just, unfortunately, anybody saying that it's not a fact of life, it is a horrible thing to happen and horrific. And if there were a way to stop it, that should be taken. But it's not new. It's not new even in the past 20 or 30 years. It's not new in the past 100 years. So just an interesting parallel there with the media playing its role in the worldview crafting. Any comments so far?
I think you covered most of it. There is a line in here that says...
Is that the next one?
Yeah,
that's the next one we're going to hit. You can read that if you'd like.
It says, in one measure of how school shootings have become normalized, the industry holds an annual conference. So it's presupposed that it is normalized. It's embedded now. Everyone thinks it's normal now. And it's worked. They've won. They've created this atmosphere. Everyone thinks it's normal now.
Well, and it's kind of telling. Normalized is a very specific term.
Yeah.
They didn't say school shootings have become normal. Mm-hmm. They said school shootings have become normalized, which sounds like it, they would mean the same thing, but they really don't.
There's intention with normalizing something.
To normalize something is to actively have, normalized, made it normal.
Made normal.
To be
Forced.
made normal.
Or
right?
Molded.
Something. So if you change the word here, it doesn't say in one measure of how school shootings have become normal, which would mean they just happen.
They happen.
And it's just happened. But in the other way of reading it, or the way that it's written here, in one measure of how school shootings have become made normal, which I think is very telling.
Right. Well, it says normalize. You're saying made normal would have been the better, or not the better, but the more benign way of explaining this.
No, I'm just reading it more specifically. To say normalized means to be made normal.
Sure.
So they're saying specifically how these shootings have become made normal. And what makes things normal? Who does the normalization? It's the media. It's the worldview crafters. They are the ones who make it normal for train derailments, to be in our daily lives. They're the ones that make it normal for mysterious balloons to be getting shot out of the sky. And they're the ones to be making it normal to regularly hear about school shootings. And it goes into some of the interesting sort of
so I have something here, if you don't mind, because I was looking at this. It says here, most of the vendors were small operators, talking about the technology or the companies that are helping prevent this. But there are a few larger companies like Navigate 360 and Raptor Technologies, whose security app was used by the Uvalde School District to alert employees that an active shooter was in the elementary school. But even after the Uvalde school shooting employee used the app, the gunman was able to enter classrooms and carry out the shooting while police officers waited to confront him, which led to more deaths. Now, I looked at Navigator 360 and Raptor Technologies. Both appear to be software. So Raptor Technologies is definitely it's an app. Okay, so there's some alert system, whatever. Navigate 360 is more of a platform. They do, behavioral assessment, and it's a whole package of the 360, right? The whole thing. But neither of them are actual, actual infrastructure, like physical things, whether it's actual bulletproof windows or whatnot. So that's interesting. But as the article goes on here, I think it's interesting that they mentioned this company called Zero Eyes. And it says here, Casino Night was hosted by Zero Eyes, which sells a software platform that monitors existing security cameras and uses artificial intelligence, there it is again, to detect and warn about people carrying guns into buildings. According to the company, if the AI system picks up what appears to be a gun, it sends an alert to a Zero Eyes employee who determines whether the threat is real and law enforcement should be dispatched. And okay, so I went to the Zero Eyes website here, and their logo is, it's an eye. With of course, with some dots and stuff. And it's the same thing. It is what it says, that human-verified proactive gun detection solution that integrates into existing security cameras with the mission to stop mass shootings and gun-related violence. So it's really specific. And there's a list of some companies who use Zero Eyes already. So you got Subaru, DHS, FedEx, looks like Snapple, and then a few other, kind of like local and smaller companies. So, I mean, maybe if you're in the local Subaru, thinking about buying a Subaru car, and your son brings in like a water gun or something,
sure,
this system might go off, and somebody might be alerted of like, hey, there's a gun-shaped object in your location or something. But also, how effective is this really? Because if they're pulling, I mean, I suppose if you're doing the walk-in and you're holding up your AR-15 style rifle or whatever, that's one thing. But, if you're doing the Columbine thing, when you got your trench coat on, no one's going to see the gun until it's ready to shoot, So I don't know. The whole thing is...
it's an alert system. And as we saw with Uvalde, and they mentioned here in this article, that alert systems only go so far.
Right.
Because in Uvalde, they had an alert system, which is weird that we never heard about it before. We never heard that a teacher used an app to alert the police of a school shooting. Weird time to hear about it. But if the police aren't going to do their job, then an alert system is not very helpful.
It doesn't do anything. It's just, okay, we're alerted now.
Sure.
Deploy the robots.
The article goes on about a bunch of training and the value of training and who's training. And this is training with, what to do, how to stab somebody's eyeballs, how to jump on them. They have a lot to say about the training aspect. New York Times.
Train, huh? A lot of train going on. By the way, we didn't do the Christian nationalism story of these, what they called Christian terrorists, but their last name was Train too.
Lots of train talk, yes. But you can tell that the author of the New York Times story doesn't like the idea of people having to think about protecting themselves.
Yeah.
They specifically, make some quotes from some of these trainers being like, you know what? We're trying to train people how to think, how to move around in the world, to keep their eye out, to be wary, to know how to spot dangers, and then what to do about it. And the article is like, isn't that horrible that they're trying to train people to look out for danger? And it really is quite telling as to the mindset behind the author, which is like, no, I just don't want to think about anything at all, and I just want the police to do everything about it.
Are you referencing this Ken Alexandro, the former police officer in Tennessee who runs Agape Tactical, the company that has taught nurses, teachers, and church staff techniques for defending against a shooter? People like that.
Yes, there was a number of them, right?
Yeah. I will say that part of, you're never going to win kind of mentality with the whole New World Order system. What this whole thing with the Agape Tactical, the whole self-defense type of thing, is what Milley talked about in his speech at the, I forget what, some graduation, military school graduation, I forget which one, where he talked about urban warfare and how warfare is going to be more on the ground and broken up and smaller groups and tactical teams and stuff like that. Right. It kind of plays right into that system. It's almost like the New York Times is, they don't want to be a part of that. They want to hide behind,
of course not.
Behind the military industrial complex to help them. So
yes.
Yeah.
So and just to skip through, and there's a bunch more, but this is sort of where the New York Times theory, the author's theory, comes into view. This is about 8 paragraphs from the bottom. Many of the executives in the active shooter defense industry who were interviewed for this article said they did not support gun restrictions, more guns restrictions. Sis, the owner of Protective Glass Company in Syracuse, said the gun debate, quote, has blinded many schools and businesses into overlooking practical steps they could take, while the broader issues remained mired in politics. Quote, should we start addressing gun laws and mental health? Yep. he said Ziz, a former homicide detective, quote, "But we have been having the same stupid argument since Columbine in 1999. Ziz said that he did not support a ban on military-style rifles because he, quote, does not trust the government to carry that out effectively." Maria Clunan, an administrative assistant at a school in Western Massachusetts, said some staff members were worried about the psychological impact that active shooter training could have on students and faculty. The psychological impact of the training. That's what I'm talking about. The very act of being trained to handle danger would have a psychological impact. Quote, "Some folks think the training is too strenuous on kids and staff," said Clunan, who serves on her school's safety team. But she said she believed that such training was helpful 2 years ago when she was director of a nursery school in the Church of Springfield, Massachusetts. Clunan hired a firm run by 2 local law enforcement officers to train her teachers how to deal with a shooter. She had grown nervous because of increased crime in the city. Quote, "We hope and pray this doesn't happen to us," she said, quote, "but we also hope a child never has to use an EpiPen. But if they do, the training kicks in." Keegan, the associate superintendent of North Syracuse, said that he thought there should be tighter gun restrictions, but that the issue felt distant from his daily reality. Quote, "We certainly hope for greater levels of gun control, but that is not something that we are going to hang our hat on," he said. Still, each year, his schools are adding more intense security measures. This fall, for example, North Syracuse has started posting armed officers at its elementary schools, in addition to middle and high schools. The school district recently approved about $30 million for safety and security enhancements to its building. Keegan is considering buying more of Siz's glass. He's constantly being pitched on new products. And a poignant little sentence there at the end. Quote, "We are getting hit with people trying to sell us," he said. "My email is blowing up every day with that stuff." So there's this vibe at the end of this article making a point about the capitalization of school shootings. And the idea being communicated here is, aren't these companies trying to protect our children horrible capitalist pigs because they don't support gun control, but they do support selling safety equipment to our children or to our schools? And, you know, that's there's not a point there. Because when you consider the active shooter, yeah, there's you know, it's just listen. Because when you consider the military-industrial complex, of course, the thinking man's criticism is, well, that's pretty weird that we have ultra-powerful corporations who benefit from selling weapons to our government and others, often selling weapons to both sides of a conflict. Yeah. And so they are trying to put the school defense industry in a similar light, saying, hey, look, these guys are trying to protect kids, but they don't want to ban guns. What a capitalist pig way to think about it. Why are they busy selling bulletproof glass and not putting their energy into banning AR-style assault rifles? The implication being they hope, or the implication being sort of crafted is these school safety companies don't want school violence to end because that's where they get their profits from. If guns are still flowing in the streets and school shooters are getting free guns with no background checks, then these guys get to make more money. Of course, there are some more subtle points to point out. Aside from that, perhaps if who knows, if Glock was also selling bulletproof glass to schools and selling the guns, that would be a little bit more akin to the military-industrial complex. Yeah. But yeah, it's really weird to see such sharp criticism of companies who are trying to protect schools, hardened targets.
Yeah. Well, it all seems to be leading to a situation where your children are going to be even more monitored, and they got to be part of the system. That's a big goal for the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. We covered one of those stories in the last episode, but there is something else being proposed.
$100 billion. I don't have any money.
This is dailymail.co.uk. Before we go into break real quick here, Democrats propose plan to make federal governments give every American born after 2005 $1,000 savings account and use higher estate taxes to keep adding funds until they are 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, give those children money.
That's fun. I mean, it's kind of a steal from the rich, give to the poor thing. Estate taxes, of course, being the taxes when somebody dies and their estate is passed on to the next generation. That's what estate tax is, right?
Yeah. Well, aren't there? I thought there were some laws being, well, at least in California, I know there were some laws that are trying to change some of that real estate stuff. I think it got a lot of pushback because.
Well, I don't think it's just real estate. Yeah. I think it's. Let's see here. A tax levied on the net value of the estate of a deceased person. Right. This is like the death tax thing. So when their stuff gets moved on to the next generation. And that's been one of the main criticisms of our system is low estate tax, makes it cheap for generational wealth to move on. So they want to tax the generational wealth of the higher class and literally put it into a bank account for the children of the lower class, which is interesting. What are the details?
So it says here, Senator Cory Booker and Rep. Ayanna Pressley introduced the American Opportunity Accounts Act, which would federalize the use of baby bonds for the country's youth to help fight wealth inequality. Now, real quick, Basil, take a quick guess what university Cory Booker is from.
I'm going to have to guess Stanford.
Stanford! Mm-hmm. Just pop up everywhere. The cardinal class of the American Vatican system. Oh, by the way, Elon Musk was also at Stanford. Did you know this? 2 days before he quit. Seems to be a theme with him with all this world forums and systems. He's part of it, but he's kind of like, it's boring.
Oh, he dropped out of Stanford, you mean?
2 days, 2 days. He went on to start PayPal or something. So, which, by the way, Peter Thiel, also graduate from Stanford. But I digress. Mm-hmm. The program would be funded by raising estate and inheritance taxes. It would result in a major redistribution of wealth to middle and lower income Americans. The lawmakers estimate that children in families of the lowest income levels would have roughly $46,000 by the time they begin college, which could all be spent on a down payment on a college education. Those kids would get $2,000 a year under the program, the number that decreases as families earn more income. Children and families at the very top of the applicable financial ladder. For instance, a family of four with a household income of $125,000 would only end up with an estimated $1,600 when they turn 18.
Yeah,
okay.
$125,000 for a couple, between a couple, is not that much money. I mean, that's like making it by, depending where you are. $125,000 in Southern California. Well, that's not. You're living in a box.
Yeah, it's you're homeless basically.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I'm looking at domestic couples salary. Let me check here. I'm just going to.
I think it's around 80 is the sort of.
According to ZipRecruiter, domestic couple salary nationwide. 131,000.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. Okay, that's higher than I thought actually, but that I could see that. You're talking about an average middle class person. It would only equate to $1,600
when they turn 18. So after all that time,
you
get $1,600, which you can spend. By that time, maybe a tank of gas, a couple tanks of gas.
Yeah, right.
Kids whose guardians are bringing in about $81,575 for a family of four would be eligible for $250 per month and end up with just over $7,000 Ooh.
Still not very much.
How is this dropping the wealth gap?
$80,000 for a family of 4. You cannot even live in Southern California.
Well, definitely not Southern California. Maybe they're targeting, I don't know. Where would they be targeting? What's the cheapest place in America?
But that's what I'm saying is like a kid who grew up, relatively poor or modest, getting $7,000 on their 18th birthday. I don't know if that's a life-changing amount of money.
Certainly, I don't know that it's supposed to be life-changing. I think it's just supposed to be something for the kids.
Something.
Think of the kids, Basil.
Okay.
It says here, quote, the racial wealth gap in America is the result of generations of precise and intentional policy violence.
Okay.
So we must be as intentional and as precise about advancing policies that address it head on. Basically admitting, this is Presley, by the way, in a statement during the unveiling of the bill. She's basically saying, there's been intentional policy violence. So in order to fight that, we must fight our own policy violence. They're not going to call their thing policy violence, but that's basically what they're saying. Baby bonds are one of the most effective tools we have for closing the racial wealth gap and breaking the cycles of poverty and trauma that have prevented black and brown folks from thriving in this country. And it goes on and on. I think the bigger thing here, besides just the money thing, is the whole UN 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. Everyone has an identity by the year 2030. All the babies born. What better way to put everybody born post 2005 into the government ledger
in the system
than some kind of UBI system where, hey, we're going to give you some money each month.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is more than the actual money itself, because clearly it's not actually doing anything to help these people.
Well, 42 grand,
the wealth gap.
42 grand could make a difference for somebody coming up real poor. Anybody really. 42 grand on your 18th birthday is a great deal. But only the poorest of the poor would get the 42 grand. Which, that'll send them to college. That's great. A nice college education. I'm not saying nobody should have that. But yeah, I think you're right. The point of this is to incentivize putting the kids in the system.
Enroll them early.
A government funded system where, of course, their financials, I'm sure there will be a roadmap for where your baby bond then becomes the basis for your legal financials when you turn 18.
Right.
And you can, keep using that account. And by then, you are fully programmed to allowing the government to have an intimate hand in all of your financials. It's a pretty straightforward process, seems like.
Yeah. So there you go. And by the way, real quick, according to Insider Intelligence, 58% of American teenagers between 13 to 17 visit TikTok at least once a day. So over half 13 to 17-year-old Americans visit TikTok every day.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose access, they're going to be mad. They're going to be a lot of mad teenagers. And then, just a couple years, they're going to be 18. They can bust out they can use their 42 grand to buy themselves a drone.
Ticket to China.
An AI drone that to fight the war. To fight the war with China.
I'm sure all these kids will just be using the money for beer. So I think it's party time.
Go to canarycry.party. Put it in your URL. There you will find a tree of links that leads to everything from where to watch the show, listen to the show, how to produce the show, how to connect with us and the entire community.
Welcome to Canary Cry Party. It's the place you wanna be. So say welcome to Canary Cry. Gameplay canarycry.party.
Yeah, canarycry.party. Go check it out. You'll see a new button at the top says submit an article to the show. If you click on that, it'll take you to canarycry.report, where you can officially submit stories for the show to cover. Give it a try, folks. But there's all sorts of other great stuff you can check out. You can join the Canary Cry T-shirt Council. You can find all of our broadcast locations. You can support the show and listen to other great Canary Cry properties. And with that, let's thank some producers.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
That's right. We're taking a quick break. We're on the value for value system, folks. You know it. You love it. No corporate money. If you get value, put value back in. You can do it with your time, your talent, or your treasure. We're going to thank some people who supported the show financially today. Once again, thank you to our executive producer, Adam H. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam.
There's a big alert just came across my desk. It is hitting news wires across the globe or the pancake, and we have a big announcement. We have one more most important person in the world.
Oh,
yeah,
unexpected.
I know. Came out of nowhere. Big news. Bigger news than the trains or the balloons. Everything put together. We have a new member of the Canary Cry T-shirt Council, canarycryt-shirtcouncil.com, and that is our executive producer, Adam H. Woo!
Wow.
Yeah, that's got to be a merit badge there. He's executive producer and part of the Canary Cry T-shirt Council.
Wow,
Most important person in the world. Thank you, Adam H.
Thank you, Adam H.
And with that, let's see here. We've named all the T-shirt Council members. Thank you all for joining. I highly recommend. There is a deadline approaching, folks. So if you've been thinking about getting your hands on some very special T-shirts once per month, supporting the show, it's just value all the way down. Go to canarycryt-shirtcouncil.com, sign up, and I will be screaming your name next episode. But we also have somebody signed up for the supply drop. Yeah, canarycrysupply.com. We're very proud of this program, and it has brought smiles to Canarians across the world. If you support the show for $33 a month, you'll start receiving, once per quarter, a whole package filled with custom-created, producer-produced, artist-designed Canary Cry News Talk gear. The wealth of gear that has shown up in these supply drops is truly impressive. And I'm happy to start leaking today, Gons, exclusively some of the stuff going to be in the new Canary Cry supply drop coming up. I'll tell you this, Gons, you know this one. Here's one very special item that is in this next supply drop, and that is the Samurai Gons guitar strings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We have a producer. Yes, this is a very special one. A producer who has a guitar string company, has worked with Gons Shimura himself to put together a very special Canary Cry News Talk.
I appreciate
Gons,
you
Samurai Gons guitar strings.
I appreciate you making me seem like I did more than I did.
You did, Gons. I saw the emails. You didn't have nothing to do with it. I saw the emails. You were involved in this process.
Yeah.
So yes, very cool. We'll have some product pictures here coming up soon. But if you are a guitar player or you just want to have something of Gons's, you can have the official Samurai Gons guitar strings. It'll come in an awesome custom package, and you can shred peacefully knowing that these are the same guitar strings that Gons plays on.
I might have to fire up some kind of shred channel or something.
Yeah, you've been talking about it for years, Gons. I know this might be the first time you're mentioning it here, but you're throwing your hat over the ring. So there you go, canarycrysupply.com. Please go join. It helps us survive the tough times, and we get to make cool stuff and send it to you. But we have a new supply dropper who signed up, and that is supply dropper Lavarius B.
Lavarius B.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Lavarius.
Okay, we got some producers who came in support the show for this episode. Let's thank them now. Ready?
Let's do it.
Starting with producer Catherine S.
Catherine S. Thank you very much.
That's right. Catherine S. came in for $67, which will make sense in a second. There's a note. Today is my 67th birthday.
Happy birthday, Catherine.
Producer Catherine S., thank you so much. Birthday was on February 16th. Is that today? That's yesterday. Yeah. Keep up the good work, she says. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Catherine.
And have a very happy birthday.
Yeah. Hope you had a great one.
Next up, we got Lady Night Little Wing coming in.
Little Wing.
Nice round number, which means we won't mention the number. And a note here. Blessings, Canarians. Thank you for the invaluable value every week. XO, Lady Night, Little Wing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Little Night, Little Wing. Good to see you.
Indeed. Then we have Sir Moore of Night of the Burning Chariots. 195 episodes in a row. And with the 1111. And note here, happy Friday, CCNT family.
It's Friday. There you go. We can keep playing with the Friday thing.
Hope everyone has a great weekend. Lamentations 3:22 through 23. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Oh, beautiful. It's great to keep in mind. Thank you, Sir Moore.
Appreciate you.
Next up, we got Sir Alex Protocol, V2, Night of the Berean Protocol, Pocketful of Sevens, 141 episodes in a row.
Oops, wrong one. Sorry. Thank you, Sir Alex Protocol, V2.
We've got Sir Darren, Night of the Hungry Pandas, 101 episodes in a row, Pocketful of Sevens.
Sir Darren, 101.
Tweakers. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
And we've got a note here. Happy Friday.
Sorry, not ready for that one. There you go.
It's Friday. It's Friday.
I need some producership today, he says.
Producers, assemble!
One of the companies that I work for is being a real pain in the butt and causing me unnecessary stress. Thanks. Yes. Have a great day. Yeah, don't you hate that? All right, producers around the world, we're putting Sir Darren Night of the Hungry Pandas on the list, praying that something's got to change with these companies that are pain in the butt.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I can relate.
That's right.
Sort of, kind of. My wife is going through some stuff with her work, where she's head of one department, and there's a whole nother department whose job is to do the thing for that department. But the head person is asking my wife to fix the problem of the other department, and she's going, why don't the people that run the department fix the thing? Because that's their department anyway.
Exactly.
People,
I mean, that's the thing. You got to keep in mind, these companies have a legal responsibility not to serve the workers, but to serve the shareholders.
Yes.
So they will serve the shareholders at the expense of the workers. That's the way it's set up, folks, and it's a real pain. We're praying for you, Sir Darren.
Sir Darren.
Okay, that concludes the list of financial producers who supported the show in the amount of $777 or more, which entitles them to have a note read on the show. We got a few people coming in under that. We'll thank them now, starting with Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer, and Lady of X's and O's, 226 episodes in a row.
Fantastic.
We've got Sir Case of the Shield Knight, 263 episodes in a row.
Wow.
We got Veronica D, 226 in a row.
Thank you, Veronica D.
Doctor Who Dundat, 28 in a row.
28, thank you.
And Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 252 episodes in a row.
Oh yeah, Streakalicious. Women rule.
Thank you to all of our financial producers. Truly, we could not do the show without you. The only reason we are still on the air, especially in the capacity that we are, is because of people understanding that the value for value model is the paradigm shift that can break us free from the corporate mind control. It might sound a little intense, but honestly, if you think about it, you know it to be true. And everybody out there who's enjoying this show for free, say a little prayer for the producers, because remember, these are the producers. We'll do it for them too, but say a little prayer for the producers, because it's the producers who are allowing everyone else to listen for free. So thank you very much. If you want to support the show, which I suggest you give a try once in a while, it feels good, head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
And thank you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money.
Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
You know what's fun, Gons? It's nice. I'm very proud of us. We've gotten these breaks down to about 10 minutes, which is better than they used to be. They used to be like 45 minutes long. However, we are already 2 hours into this show.
I know. We spent a lot of time on block one there.
We did. So we're going to be efficient, ruthless killers of overtime.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
We must be ruthless like George Soros. The man, the mystery, the New World Order guy.
Build back better. Build back better. Build back better. We will build Babylon better. This time, a new world order.
This clip is going viral, Basil. Did George Soros endorse Ron DeSantis?
My hope for 2024 is that Trump and Governor DeSantis of Florida will slug it out for the Republican nomination. Trump has turned into a pitiful figure, continually bemoaning his loss in 2020.
Mooning people.
Big Republican donors are abandoning him in droves. DeSantis is shrewd, ruthless, and ambitious. He is likely to be a Republican candidate.
Ooh, did you just say he's likely to be a Republican candidate?
He's likely to be the Republican candidate.
Yeah, so the response has been interesting because some people, the DeSantis defenders, started saying, no, that's not an endorsement. That's just, Soros commenting on the Republican primary matchup to come. While others are saying, no, that's Soros saying, I prefer a DeSantis.
Exactly. He's preferring DeSantis because he wants to split the Republican vote.
Yes.
And that's obvious. Anybody thinking, the only people trying to get you to think that he's endorsing as a candidate DeSantis are the Democrats. The Democrats want you to think that. Yeah, because they want Trump to run because they, once again, feel like they can beat him, which is, who knows? We'll see. But very, very interesting. Can you imagine being DeSantis and having your name and compliments come out of the mouth of George Soros?
Strong like us.
He definitely paid him compliments and wants DeSantis to win. I don't know if that's technically an endorsement, but it is.
Well,
definitely something I never would have imagined.
What's interesting is that he wants the turmoil, right? Yeah. Within the Republican Party,
chaos.
The Republican arm. He wants chaos.
He knows the chaos in the Republican Party will serve the Democrats.
And his statements there facilitates the chaos. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, we want these two sides to hate each other, or at least beat each other up. What's the word he used?
He's creating the chaos. I mean, talk about the Hegelian dialectic. George is the master of it. He's the master of funding chaos, which the reaction to such chaos often is what fulfills his desires.
Right.
Not the chaos itself, but he knows how to play his opponents. And this is an opportunity for Republicans really to fall right into George Soros's hands.
Yeah. So, interestingly enough, Fox News picked up on the Soros event here. He was speaking at a German public event. But I thought it was interesting that they went this direction, where it's more about geoengineering. This is foxnews.com. George Soros calls for weather control to stop global warming, ice sheets melting. Quote, our civilization is in danger of collapsing. Who doesn't say that? But it says here, left-wing megadonor and billionaire George Soros argued in favor of using an experimental weather control technology to mitigate global warming during a speech in Germany on Thursday. That gives a little bio on
he supports
Soros.
the chemtrails.
He supports the chemtrails. Specifically, this is about refreezing the Arctic, so North and South Pole, freezing them.
I gotta know why, because we have heard this before, that it's bad that the poles are melting. Mm-hmm. Now, number one, let me tell you this. I didn't put in the link, but it was announced, I think it was just today, that the ice in Antarctica is down this year. Yeah. Okay, it goes up and down every year. But the Arctic ice in the north hit a record high. So it's
getting
not that
cold in the middle of the map. It's getting warmer on the outside.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so it's more ice than ever in the North Pole, less ice in the South Pole. What is the benefit of human beings freezing the South Pole? I don't understand what the thing is here.
Have to keep the aliens from coming out of the hole, Basil. We got to freeze over the portals.
Yeah.
The opening to the hollow earth.
Look, even if the more ice in the South Pole is a signal to a healthy climate, and that is not confirmed. But let's say it's their worldview that a frozen South Pole is indicative of a healthy climate. Freezing it ourselves does not mean it's going to cure the climate. It's like you're treating a symptom and not the disease, even by their own worldview. It's just the wildest thing I've ever heard.
So the one that came up with this is Sir David King, not King David. Sir David King, former UK Special Envoy on Climate Change, Chief Scientific Advisor, founder of the Center for Climate Repair at Cambridge University. And Soros really likes this guy. Quote, King has developed a theory which is widely shared by climate scientists. It holds that the global climate system used to be stable, but human intervention disrupted it, Soros continued. The Arctic Circle used to be sealed off from the rest of the world by winds that blew in a predictable circular counterclockwise direction, but man-made climate change broke this isolation.
I don't even think this is true.
I don't think so either. Sounds like some mythology right there.
We read more about Antarctica than any other podcast on this planet. And if that were something that were true, we would have come in contact with it before. That's like a video game. That's like video game myth. Like when you're playing a game,
play Soros.
Yeah, there's a zone, that you're not high enough level to go to. There'll be some sort of contrived obstacle that won't let you go there. Let's say Antarctica is level 4, but you're only level 3, and so you can't go there. You got to wait until you get the wind walking boots or something. Then to get past the windstorm. Obviously, a lot of Legend of Zelda influence here. This is Zelda influence here. I don't know. It's just weird mythology that I don't think is true.
Yeah. Quote, Sir David King has a plan to repair the climate system. He wants to create the albedo effect by creating white clouds high above the earth, he added, with proper scientific safeguards. That itself is problematic. Proper scientific safeguards and in consultation with local indigenous communities. This project could help restabilize the Arctic climate system.
Oh, he's talking about the Arctic?
He's talking about the North Arctic, yeah. But it's both. It's both poles, but specifically he's talking about the Arctic. which governs. So he says, the Arctic climate system, which governs the entire global climate system. Quote, the message is clear.
I don't know.
Human interference has destroyed a previously stable system, and human ingenuity, both local and international, will be needed to restore it.
Yeah. So, okay. So are we to believe that he's the one funding the Mexican chemtrail company then?
Maybe.
Because we were talking about it. It makes no sense that the small Mexican startup chemtrail company would just defy the American government and go ahead and announce that they were going to do chemtrails anyways. That makes no sense unless they have the confidence and the backing of someone like George Soros.
But the government's going to get us. Don't worry about the government.
Yeah, exactly.
The people penetrated into the boards. Yeah, it's like
perhaps. That was a Klaus Schwab quote.
Well, he's referencing Klaus, but they all speak the same language, so it's kind of
sure. I don't know. That's kind of the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and it makes sense that somebody like a Soros or his type would fund both sides, the eco-terrorism and
people are going to think you're anti-Semitic.
What are you talking about?
You said Soros and his type.
Oh my gosh.
You mean billionaires is what you mean.
Well, yeah, billionaires, controllers, people that have influence and power and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's not just them,
just
Basil. It's a lot of them.
Clarifying, we are on YouTube today.
Yeah, sure. But it's typical for and throughout history we've seen that a lot of the controllers, the elite, those types, will fund both sides of the war, like you mentioned earlier.
Yep.
And this makes sense. You fund sort of the institutional, world-facing governments and all that kind of stuff, politicians, but also on the back end, you're quietly funding, facilitating, protecting the eco-terrorists, doing their thing and creating havoc and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think that theory is as good as any. I don't think I haven't heard anybody mention that this solar engineering company from Mexico who are defying their government and the U.S. government is perhaps connected to Soros or a Soros type of billionaire who's trying to take over everything.
It would be interesting. Yeah. I don't know if they're not public, they don't have to report it.
That's true.
I think we should save Trudeau stuff.
Ooh, Trudeau.
I think it's a little much.
I think saving Trudeau is a lost cause.
This sounds like a movie.
Yeah,
Saving
Trudeau.
Yeah. Now let's save that for next episode.
Trudeau. Are we going doing the Russia thing real quick?
Yeah, let's do Russia real quick. Russia. NewYorkPost.com. Watch out, folks. There's a new pandemic. It's Russian sudden death syndrome. We've been tracking the deaths here on Canary Cry News Talk. We've got another sad case. You guessed it, Russia. Headline, top Putin war official plunges 160 feet to her death from high-rise building. Man, they have got to get some railing technology on these Russian high-rise buildings.
We've seen, is this the first lady to die? I think she might be the second. I'm trying to remember.
I think so. I mean, there was the journalist, but that wasn't.
That was a journalist. Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to think of what the women who have been taken out.
I think it's the first woman.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of high-ranking women Russian defense officials.
Yeah, they're too busy sitting on tanks.
A high-ranking Russian defense... Okay. A high-ranking Russian defense official in the war against Ukraine was found dead Wednesday after falling from a high-rise window in an apartment building. Man, the coincidences just keep piling up. Marina Yankina, 58, was discovered by passerby at the entrance of a high-rise on Zamshina Street in St. Petersburg. So specific. Russian news telegram channel MASH reported. She is believed to have fallen 160 feet to her death. Her personal belongings and documents were found on a balcony in the building. She had documents on the balcony. She was just casually on the balcony reading documents. According to the preliminary investigation, it is believed Yakina committed suicide. MASH reported that a few minutes before allegedly taking her own life, Yakina called her ex-husband and told him what she was about to do. She she also asked the man to summon police to the high-rise on Zamshina Street where she lived. That was a weird thing to ask.
That's super bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not much more to say here. No official motive. She was a key figure in the funding of Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine. She was the head of the financial support department of the Ministry of Defense for the West Military District, which is closely involved in the invasion. This is a very interesting detail, that she's the financial person.
Yeah. That's...
because, of course, all the financial tomfoolery that is going into the war in Ukraine, taxpayer dollars, SBF, FTX, connections with the Democratic Party, not to mention the certain individuals sitting on boards of Ukrainian oil companies. It's all financial. The whole thing is financial. The explosion regarding the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, the whole thing is about finances. And we are forced to, and I don't think that this is talked about or thought about a lot, is what would be the, what's the same thing going on the Russian side? They're trying to say Putin's a crazy person and that they're trying to gain the glory of the Russian Empire, the Soviet Empire, blah, blah, blah. The same sort of pseudo-nationalist type of stuff. But, oligarchs and Putin himself, notoriously corrupt, notoriously motivated by money and corruption and stuff like that. So maybe this lady, you have to assume that some individuals in the Russian government maybe started the war for similar financial reasons. I mean, that's why war happens nowadays, especially one so egregious as this. There have to be Russian money getting funneled here and there and everywhere. And this woman, head of the financial support department of the Ministry of Defense, would be the point person for, corruption when it comes to finances moving to and fro because of the war. I'm sure that has something to do with it.
I'm sure.
Allegedly.
We're never going to really know until they make the movie 20 years from now. And even then it'll be the propaganda narrative. That,
I mean, come on, look at this. Yankina, before joining the Western Military District, Yankina worked in the Federal Tax Service. And served as deputy chairman of the Property Relations Committee in St. Petersburg. Yeah. You think somebody's making some money off this war?
There was I forget who it was. I don't have the clip in front of me, but somebody was talking about how they're going to go after all the oligarchs trying to sell their assets, and they're going to try to, really nail down those people and make sure that they can't get out of there.
They've been doing that for the whole war.
Yeah, the whole sanctions thing, right? Sanctions. But I'm wondering, I mean, she must have become problematic or something in the chain of...
maybe she discovered some corruption.
Maybe,
something.
You never know. That's It's hard with these things because you never know if it's a good ethical move that got him killed or losing usefulness or it's just, you never know.
Yeah, she could have fallen off the balcony, caught a case of Russian sudden death syndrome because she tried to do the right thing. Yeah, you never know. Yeah. Speaking of money, let's check in on some Afrofuturism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is interesting.
What shall we do? What shall we do?
Afrofuturism.
This is from The Guardian. And the headline here, riots erupt in Nigerian cities as bank policy leads to scarcity of cash. And we're starting with this Guardian article, and we're not going to read the whole thing here, but let me just give you a little flavor because we believe the Guardian is doing the propaganda speaking here. Rioters have attacked bank ATMs and blocked roads in 3 Nigerian cities as anger spilled on the streets over a scarcity of cash just days before the country's general election. Nigeria has been struggling with a shortage in physical cash since the central bank began to swap old bills of the local Naira currency for new ones, leading to a shortfall in banknotes.
Classic.
Now, when I read this, Basil, I was under the impression where it says old bills for new ones. Does it just mean new paper currency?
That's what they're claiming. Yes, that's what they're claiming.
Okay. All right. I just want to make that clear because that's the assumption, at least that I made when I read this, is, okay, it's just cash, one form of paper cash for another form of paper cash.
Yeah, just newer bills.
Banks have limited access to cash for withdrawals because of the scarcity of the new notes. And some businesses refuse to accept old Naira, causing huge queues, angering customers, and disrupting businesses. The unrest in the southwestern city of Ibadan and Benin City and Delta states in southern Nigeria came days before Nigeria holds elections on the 25th to decide on a successor to the president, Muhammadu Buhari, who will step down after 2 terms. Police in Delta State said, quote, unguided youths, miscreants in the name of protests, set 2 banks and 2 vehicles on fire. We have arrested 9 suspects. It's a whole thing. There's a lot of...
Yeah,
they're calling them hoodlums. It's the whole thing. It's collapsing,
and it's all because of a lack of cash, lack of banknotes. Now, I'm skipping down underneath that last picture there because it kind of does a great job summarizing. Tensions have flared in Nigeria since the central bank set a February deadline for depositors to change old notes, leaving many people cashless and frustrated. Many people working in the informal economy and in transportation in Nigeria use cash for transactions rather than banking apps. The central bank said the policy was aimed at mopping up excess and counterfeit Naira from the system, as well as discouraging cash ransom payments to kidnappers and bandits. Look, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but to do a nationwide bill swap because of kidnappers and bandits, you got some other bigger problems going on. The policy was also to promote cashless transactions by limiting the use of cash for businesses. So that's what it's really for. They're trying to get rid of cash altogether.
Can you imagine if you're a kidnapper and you're trying to do business with some other kidnappers, and it's like, oh, hey, you got
These
a cash
are
app?
Old bills. Don't give me old bills.
Yeah, I can't accept cash anymore, so I got to pay the man. So
here's my Venmo.
You got the yeah, exactly. Okay,
right.
Continue.
So obviously that's what the central bank is doing, is they're trying to get rid of cash, even though they're taking in old cash and putting new cash in circulation. They're not balancing it out, which is a great way to sort of surreptitiously take cash out of circulation. But some state governments have taken the central bank to court, seeking an order to suspend the policy and allow Nigerians to use both old and new notes until the banks are able to provide enough cash. 2 weeks ago, riots also erupted in northern Nigeria's largest city of Kano during a visit by the Buhari, who has promised to look into the cash and petrol shortages. So you have these central banks of Nigeria obviously trying to take as much cash out of the system as possible, which is relevant because people who've been paying attention, at least to this show, know that Nigeria is the testing ground for CBDCs in Africa. And not only CBDCs, but the whole WEF technocratic move. They were the ones who locked people out of their bank accounts for being unvaccinated.
Yeah.
Yep. They were the ones who I think they took away passports for being unvaccinated. They have the most robust CBDC pilot program on the continent. They are closely allied with European agencies as the sort of gateway to the Afro-futuristic ESG technocratic future. They are Klaus Schwab's sort of little petri dish in Africa. And let's see here. We have a couple links in case. By the way, all these links are in your email box. If you're part of our newsletter, go to canarycry.party, sign up for the newsletter. All these sources sent straight to you before every show. Just to get a couple links here. What do I got here? Yahoo News. This is mirrored from Decrypt. Inside Nigeria's ambitious push of cashless society. E-Naira, CBDC. And it goes through the whole sort of setup where they are going to be the poster child, the golden child for central bank digital currency, centralized control of a cryptocurrency to replace all cash, all value transactions. Was there anything notable that you saw in this Decrypt?
No, I mean, we've covered some of it in the past, and this article itself from Yahoo mirroring Decrypt is from December, so you kind of see the prequel, I guess, to the stuff happening now, where it was clear that they're pushing the CBDC, and it does point out in here that unlike cryptocurrencies, the central bank manages the whole thing, which is unfortunately a sort of battle that we're going to see continue to unfold all around the world, in the U.S. as well. Mm-hmm. And even right now, we haven't been covering a lot of the SEC stuff. Gary Gensler, have you been tracking some of that stuff in America? Where Gary Gensler's coming out and saying basically that he wants to ban staking. He wants to everything is a security except maybe Bitcoin.
Right.
It's a real power grab. Trying to stifle innovation in the U.S. and things like that. So it's pretty ugly right now in America. Of course, it's going to get really ugly in other places like Nigeria, where, again, it's been a testing ground for all kinds of systems that the world elite lizard people would like to implement. So
and they've done a very good job. And there's multiple factors. The timing of this cashlessness is really incredible. I mean, they have an election next
25th.
week.
So next week.
So
next Saturday.
You can kind of cover it. You can kind of call it politically motivated. You can think of lots of other reasons, even sort of backhanded reasons as to why this would be happening, when we know, if you've been following it for as long as we have, that this is all part of the plan. It's really not that political. It's not anything except for the next step in the petri dish that is Nigeria, of European control of the next stage of technocracy in Africa. And it's, they are not liking it. There are riots and they are burning banks. They are really fighting back. And they have done this all across for a couple of years now. Every step of this, this vaccination program, this CBDC thing, the people are not having it. But, that's when the true leaders of the country live in Europe, it's hard to really get that message across to them.
Yeah. We also have this link to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. 5 observations on Nigeria's central bank digital currency. It was published on November of 2021, and it mentions the e-Naira, a central bank digital currency, a CBDC, that was officially launched on October 25th by the Central Bank of Nigeria. So there you go. A little bit more documentation for anybody who thinks that this stuff is all crazy talk. There you go. I mean, the International Monetary Fund themselves talking about the launch of the CBDC.
And it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time before we see the same steps being taken all across the West. So it does behoove all of us to pay attention to how they do it, the reactions, what reactions work, what reactions don't work, because we're going to start seeing the same steps taken over here.
Once they start talking about the Fed app for your money, I think we're going to be really close for them to start phasing out, like actually phasing out cash, because they've been talking about it for a long time. But things are slow.
We got our own CBDC thing. We got our own Fed app being talked about. It's just a matter of time. But like Wall Street Journal said about the robot takeover, don't worry, it's going to be a few years.
Yeah, it'll be a dark bank. Dark, scary bank.
Break.
This is break. Don't just consume the content, but
become the content. Become the content.
We're going to take a quick break to thank our producers who come in with their God-given talent. You get value out of the show. You can provide value back by helping us build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk using your God-given talents, whether it's art, music. Still waiting for the fushigi, which by the way, fushigi means strange, Basil. So when you say fushigi dance, I know you're thinking like you're making a cultural reference.
Yeah, do a strange dance.
But it just means strange dance. So
yeah. It's fushigi juggling, by the way.
Oh, juggling. Strange juggling. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. We're going to start it off with Speak Pipe.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com and look for a green tab on the right side or the bottom of your screen. You click on that, it'll give you a pop-up where you can record a message of up to 90 seconds, and it will be sent to us, and we shall play it if it is requested to be played publicly, or if we think we shouldn't, we won't. We have a message from Rochelle. The first one was private to us, Basil, and I did respond, Rochelle, and sent you an email, so responding to your question there. But we have one for all the Canarians out there.
Happy Friday, Canarians. So I thought, why haven't I done Genesis 6? When they watched over the face of the earth, men multiply. As women give birth, those sons of God saw the daughters of men, gave them a 10 out of 10. The daddies trade their girls for riches and pearls. The ladies line up for the baby bump. Then the Lord said, how dare you be wed? You've got 120 years. Beware of my tears. I watch you create giants and lay claim to defiance, who blaspheme the holy, make waves upon the sea, control all the frequency, and make thoughts evil continually. I'm out of time. Stay strong for Jesus.
Thank you very much, Rochelle.
I'm out of
Appreciate
time.
It.
Thank you very much,
I like
Rochelle.
that. I kind of like the freestyle.
Good times.
Very good. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to get into audio production.
Audio production. Productions.
We have something from Brother G. We haven't heard from Brother G in a while. He sent us a note that says, Trump on a hot mic? Love the show, guys.
I will say one thing, though. I love Canary Cry News Talk. It's got everything. It's the best podcast. I think outside the cage, you know what I mean? Hit the subscribe button. It's not fake news, not at all.
Oh, my gosh. That is hilarious. Wow, we finally did it. We finally got the Don.
The endorsement from the man, the orange man has endorsed these two birds.
Oh, wow.
I think we need to just make that into its own video.
Oh, that one's getting some play for sure.
Yeah, get people, just Trump said it. What are you going to do? You like Trump, you like us. You can't really question it.
We didn't pay him. We didn't. We don't have any dealings with Trump Tower.
Derwin might have paid him.
Derwin might have made some large contributions, but what are you going to do?
There you go. Thank you very much, Brother G. That could be. I'm okay with more from Trump. Trump AI anyway. Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna do some art.
One art, please.
Gonna kick it off with Sir Dove, Knight of Respeltia.
One art, please, from Dove.
And he has a note here. It says, "Peace for today's artwork. I made a movie poster for what's sure to be this summer's biggest blockbuster hit, Lego Terminator. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for you. Dove. P.S. The Carnegie Mellon Robotics Lab in Pennsylvania that was working on the terrifying melting metal flippies is in my neighborhood." Yeah.
Yeah, and he sent some
I'm pulling up the
images that he
picture.
took of the factory that they're building there.
Yeah, it says this is his neighborhood, and I walk past it almost every day on the bridge. Was texting some photos of it to Sir Salmons a few weeks before the story because the front of the building looks like Dr. Doom's face. A nice, subtle touch. And yeah, you see the building there. It's got a big old crane thing. It says National Robotics Engineering Center. And there's a zoomed in photo of sort of one side. It looks kind of like a modern barn, but more, modern. It's got glass panels, and there is a design pattern in the panels of a couple eyes and a mouth. And if you squeeze your eyes, you can kind of see a Dr. Doom-esque face there.
Very funny. Yeah, that's hilarious. Well, Sir Dove has his movie poster here of Lego Terminator Judgment Day, which is hilarious. It says, coming this summer, you've got the
shape-shifting Lego robot T-1000.
From Terminator. Yeah, Terminator 2. He's got the silver skin. He is a Lego man, a perfectly proportioned Lego man, just with some silver skin. You've got, of course, Arnold there looking over his shoulder, looking very intense. A big explosion in the background. This is hilarious. This has got to be a reference to something we said, no?
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, it's brilliant either way, but sometimes we say things and we forget about them immediately.
The badge on the T-1000 Lego man liquefying guy is the upside down star. It's the Baphomet star.
Of course, the Baphomet star. Down at the bottom, we've got some production details. We've got a Shimura Rosewater film, music by Jonathan F., directed by S. Salmons, co-executive producer Shield Labs and Gail Exo, art director Ali, assistant art director Darren Panda, story by Runk Smash, screenplay by Ebony Blaze, published by Isaac, production designer Lil Winged One, animation by Faye Liverin. We've got R for restricted, of course, not suitable for anyone. We've got Dovey Stereo down there too. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. This is always fun. I think we have enough movie posters made by Sir Dove and others now that we could do something with all these movie posters. This is kind of fun.
Maybe make a movie?
That's crazy. We could make a movie theater.
We should put it on our bucket list.
We can print them out of in like full movie theater size, and then do like some guerrilla marketing where people go to their local movie theater and hang these up over the posters that get hung up. Get them out in there into the world, baby. Maybe the supply drop. Who knows? Thank you, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove. Appreciate it. We have one more piece here from Sir Salmons. Do we have a jingle for Sir Salmons? I'm trying to find it here.
I think so. I'm almost certain we do.
Too. It's not in my immediate thing here.
Let me see. I think Marty B did it. Of course, he would have.
He would have, yeah.
Let me do this. Sir Salmons jingle. This is.
Let me make sure here.
This is where we need ChatGPT to be our search database jingle thing.
Yeah.
If we could have some voice activated artificial intelligence jingle database search, that would be very helpful. I'm going to type in.
Pulling it up too,
but
I'm not able to find it at the
nuts.
moment.
Nuts. Sorry about that, Sir Salmons, but we'll get it. We'll do a make good.
Okay. Well, Sir Salmons sent us something with a note. Hey guys, today's art comes from my sister-in-law, Olivia. Let me go full screen with that. She has drawn for you guys the Canary Cry blimp after I told her that you guys had been covering the Chinese spy balloon phenomenon. If you guys ever decide to make one of these, let her know, and she will only charge you $50,000 for the design. LOL.
That's a pretty good deal.
Many
Pretty
blessings.
good deal for a blimp design.
Many blessings from the fishes. Yeah, it's especially, you got the same colors as the Goodyear blimp almost.
Yeah,
you got the blue and yellow. I like it.
Thank you very much, producer Olivia. We've got a wonderfully designed blimp here. We got the blue and yellow motif, kind of like the Goodyear. Says Canary Cry News Talk on the top, Canary Cry News Talk on the bottom, just in case you didn't see it on one, you saw it on the other, with a cute little canary there right in the middle. Thank you very much, producer Olivia, and Sir Salmons for doing the admin on sending that in.
100%. Appreciate it. Okay, we have a couple of microfiction.
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 First one, of course, is from Runk Smash.
Sentinel Spot scans the chaplain, then the sensory deprivation tank's QR code. It suspects the chaplain is unauthorized to be practicing medicine due to some inconsistencies. The scan results come in. He's unsequenced, it barks. You are under arrest.
Yeah. Mixing of a few different stories we've covered in the last
few
days. Interesting. Side note, there was a producer request from Rung Smash that we missed, apparently.
Yes.
So we apologize about that, Rung Smash. But thank you for the note and your generosity and grace with our inability to fulfill certain things. It's been kind of the theme today in the back room here. But apologize for that, Rung Smash, but sounds like everything is good there. So, and if you ever need prayer, again, just let us know. We will definitely make the call out. Stefan S. also has his microfiction here.
Researchers have 20 minutes to pitch their project of their innovative shape-shifting material to tech giant Lone Scum. The demo included a time-lapse video of a minifigure escaping a Lego jail cell. His remark, "Gumby had better animation." Oh, duh. Okay, this helped me understand Sir Dove's microfiction as well. Okay, yes.
You mean Rung Smash?
No, sorry, Sir Dove's art.
Sir Dove's art.
The shape-shifting Lego guy. That was the Flippy update a while back.
Yeah, I know.
Like 4 episodes ago.
Yeah. You didn't get that reference?
No, that's why I said I don't know why this is. That's what I was saying.
Oh, interesting. I thought you knew what we were talking about the whole time. That's why I mentioned T1000 and the whole thing.
Well, I mean, T1000 is what he was referencing in the poster. I got that part, but I forgot that we had a Flippy update of
the shape-shifting liquid solid state
Yes,
guy.
Why are you saying this like I'm trying to tell you? I'm telling you that I didn't get it.
I know.
I had no idea. It took 2 pieces of art to remind me about my own story.
I know. I was telling you that I thought you knew what was going on the whole time. Like I thought you knew the reference, but okay.
No, I missed it. That's why I said I didn't understand. Okay. Thank you to all of our very talented artists. If you're a creative person, no matter what you do, create something for the show, head on over to canarycry.art. Some of you need to do this and learn how to do it. Go to canarycry.art, click on the button, and you can upload your art there. Helps keep track of everything. Otherwise, it is at risk of getting lost in our email box.
Also, file size is very important when you're thinking about sending some stuff to us.
Sure. Yeah. Always watch your file size.
That could make or break the ability to send us stuff. Just saying.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Okie dokie. Yes. canarycry.art. Go there. Make something for the show. Super fun. And other than that, let's get on with the show. What do you say?
One more story, or a couple stories. One more topic here. Yes. Cows.
Moo.
Moo. Newsweek has a headline here. Mystery over 41 cows that randomly drop dead in Colorado intensifies. They died suddenly. Basil, were they vaccinated cows? The mystery over 41 cows that randomly dropped dead in Colorado has intensified after an expert gave his opinion as to what may have happened. In October 2022, numerous cattle were being discovered dead near the town of Meeker in Colorado. Officials from Colorado Park and Wildlife, CPW, said in November, after 41 cows were found dead, that they could not confirm the cause. Some cattle, but not all, appeared to have injuries linked to wolves, the official said. However, no wolves have been detected in the surrounding areas, and some cattle had no injuries at all. CPW said that the deaths could have been caused not by wolves, but by large canines. You know what it sounds like to me? Oh, some animal-human hybrids getting loose.
Some wolfmen.
Some wolfmen. Yeah, so werewolves. Real-life werewolves.
Wearing tattered jorts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carter Niemeyer, wolf predation expert and former U.S. Department of Agriculture Wildlife Services District Supervisor, was supplied with documents on the incident by the Humane Society of the United States. Niemeyer said that he saw no evidence of wolf-caused injuries on the dead cattle. They got some bad, sad pictures of the cattle here. Quote, I did not see any evidence of predation by wolves, Niemeyer told the Humane Society. I don't really see any evidence of dog bites either. Niemeyer added that these deaths may have been caused by brisket disease. This is a condition also known as high mountain disease that affects cattle in high altitude environments and can occasionally cause heart failure. Just interesting. In this case,
were these 41 cattle, were they in the same herd, or were
I
these
think it was all in the
herds?
same area. Yeah, they got some video of like just, a bunch of cows they're keeled over. So yeah, I think it's from the same place. In this case, the cows had been living at an altitude of 9,200 feet, the Humane Society of the U.S. said in the press release. They also appeared to die quite suddenly, all at once, indicating that they could all have become sick together. However, this has not been confirmed. The mysterious incident comes as gray wolves are slowly beginning to make a comeback in Colorado. Did they just say that the expert just say there's no wolves? But Newsweek is like, yes, but the wolves are coming back, don't you see?
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a cover-up situation here. They go on about the wolves.
They go about, the wolves for a while, blah, blah, blah. Wendy Kiefover, senior strategist, carnival protection.
I love this. I love this, this piece of language here. Where was it? The Humane Society of the United States said in a press release that it was concerned this incident had increased anti-wolf hysteria among the public.
Wolves' lives matter.
Yeah. This is because stakeholders who are involved in the wolf reintroduction process said that they were against wolves and would hunt them if needed. Stakeholders who are involved in the wolf reintroduction process said that they were against wolves. So if they're stakeholders in the reintroduction process, that would seem that they would benefit. I mean, that implies they would benefit from the reintroduction of wolves.
Yeah.
Why are they stakeholders if they're against the wolves?
They're going to shoot the wolves.
Any sense?
Shoot the wolves.
Wendy Kiefover, senior strategist for native carnivore protection for the Humane Society of the United States, said in a press release, quote, we are grateful that Carter Niemeyer could review CPW's evidence to conclude it is highly unlikely that wolves are responsible for the deaths of these cattle. Quote, the truth is that less than 1% of cattle inventories die as a result of predation, and Carter's report exonerates wolves. CPW would show some love for wolves in an iconic species. This seems like a classic diversionary tactic. Yeah. Why are all these cows dying? Oh, wolves. But there's no wolf marks. Yes, it's the wolves. It's the wolves. Are you sure? Yeah. Yeah, it's the wolves.
Ask the people that want to introduce wolves.
Exactly.
No, we'll kill them wolves if they show up.
Don't look at our poisoned water source or our alien abduction sightings or any number of weird things going on. It's the wolves, and if you say otherwise, you're antisocial. You need to be put on a list somewhere. It seems very strange, especially the fact that it's a news week already tips you off that there's something bigger going on here.
There's only one explanation, Basil.
Penguins?
They've been creating animal-human hybrids for decades.
Yeah.
Here's another possible explanation. This is ABC News. Feral cows to be gunned down by shooters and helicopters in U.S. National Forest.
Okay. Tell me more.
Okay.
The 150 cattle pose a significant threat to public safety and the environment. Significant threat, these feral cattle. Forget the wolves.
Forget the wolves,
we
man.
Have feral predatory cattle roaming the street.
Somebody, the Newsweek story is just somebody getting ahead of this this whole thing. They got to stop the spread of these feral cattle. So you got to kill the regular cattle. I mean, otherwise they're going to use guns and helicopters. It's its own eco-terrorists.
Feral cows roaming wild around southwest New Mexico will be gunned down by shooters and helicopters beginning next week.
Oh, by the way, the area of operation
plan
is 3.3 million acres.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, of course it is.
About 150 feral cattle, which authorities say are not domesticated animals and pose significant threat to public safety and natural resources, will be hunted by aerial shooting and will take place over 4 days, beginning Thursday, February 23rd at the Gila National Forest. I think this is a blood ritual.
It's got to be, right?
Sacrifice. It's in New Mexico.
Yeah.
So, they've got their vortexes, they've got their portals.
All the Jack Parsons experiments and all that, the project, whatever, it's all, it's all.
These 150 cattle probably escaped from a government laboratory.
They probably have human brains.
You've got the power number 23, the occult power number 23, and shooting them from the sky as above, so below.
Calling fire down from heaven.
Exactly. It's happening on 3.3 million acre reserve in southwest New Mexico. The public has been asked to avoid the area completely while the culling takes place. Ooh, the culling. Huh. Yeah. Blood ritual for sure.
Yeah. The other thing, I know you don't like this, Basil, but I do think that this is also a soft, rattling, provoking, destabilizing, perhaps, of U.S. relations with India.
Yeah.
India might get really upset that the U.S. are just gunning down these innocent feral cattle.
Yeah, you ran this joke by me before the show.
It's not a joke!
And
not a joke!
My feelings
have
not
Joe?
changed.
This is not a joke, man.
Okay.
Just saying.
No.
We might get banned retroactive. Okay, I'm going to call it right now. Retroactively. This video will get flagged for cyberbullying cows because the new CEO of YouTube is of Indian descent, and I think he's going to have a problem with killing cows.
Stop it. It's not worth it. Whatever you're doing is not worth it.
It's not worth what?
It's not worth the actual potential to get this banned. It's only getting banned because you're making this. You're taunting him, is what you're doing.
I am not taunting anybody. I am commenting on world events.
The past 25 years, the forest has issued a total of 9 contracts that have resulted in the removal of 211 cattle, 211, with the last order coming a year ago, February 2022, when 65 feral cattle were lethally removed. Lethally removed. Authorities estimated that around 150 will be eliminated during the cull, set to take place next week. If branded cattle are lethally removed during gathering or for aerial operations. U.S. Forest Service officials say the owner may request compensation, but contacting the U.S. Forest Service.
Somebody get out there. Region. Somebody get out there with the Canary Cry brand and start branding these cows.
Start branding these cows.
Get some government money.
If it's got a brand, we can get compensated. Last I checked, a head of cattle is going for $4,000
That's what I'm saying, man. And we'll probably get 30%. 30 cents on the dollar from the government.
Times $4,000. That is quite the.
Yeah,
that's quite. We're looking at like $500,000.
Yeah, but I don't think the government's going to give us 25-30 cents on the dollar. So I don't think we're going to get the whole deal.
We'll take a couple $100,000.
I'm fine with that
for our time. All right. Well, thanks for listening to the show, everybody. We're done for today. We hope you enjoy the weekend. Thank you to executive producer Adam H., not just for being a wonderful executive producer, but also for being one of the most important people in the world, for signing up to the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. And folks, we are approaching deadline for sign up to the T-Shirt Council. You still got some time, but do not wait too long if you want to get a nice steady flow of awesome Canary Cry News Talk T-shirts. The truth never goes out of style. You'll receive them once per quarter if you sign up to the T-Shirt Council, Canary Cry T-Shirt Council.com. And we've got some producers to thank across the board. Let's start with our Clippies.
Clippy on those videos. Thanks.
Yep, thank you to Emsworth and Faye Liver and clipping out the show. The Canary Cry Clips channel is officially back online. So go to YouTube, type Canary Cry News Talk, Canary Cry Clips, and subscribe to that channel. You'll get segmented pieces of this show available in bite-sized, shareable clips, including you can start getting our YouTube shorts there. Subscribe to that channel, and while you're there, leave a little message and thank Emsworth and Faye Livern for their hard work.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And thank you to the timestampers.
Yes. Sorry, I spilled while we were thanking people. I took a little sip of my my little tea drink and I spilled it all over myself.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Yes, the timestampers working hard to make sure that our whole show is timestamped. It goes into so much of our back-end processes. We're so grateful to the timestampers there. And I would like to thank timestamper producer Christine C. for doing episode 591. And that's what I was thinking. I think we're still putting a call out for timestampers.
Yeah, so there were a couple people that messaged us again.
Well,
so
I think we need to keep the call out there.
Yeah, sure.
Because you never know. People send us emails and then they bail. So we're still looking for some timestamp help, trying to take the load off of Jade B and Christine C just once a week. You got time. Especially if you sit here, you watch the show live anyways, the timestamping is for you. Send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com.
Yep.
And thank you to our social media gal.
The social media consultant.
Thanks so much.
Social media, follow us.
Dame Miss G, the OV, and the Deep Rivers, making sure the art gets up on the social media. We appreciate it very much. CanaryCryMeetups.com.
Canary Cry Meetups.
CanaryCryMeetups.com. It's time to get on out there, folks. Do a little meetup, do a little meeting, and some upping. And it's a great way to meet other Canarians in your area. No matter where you are, there's going to be more Canarians near you. It's just a matter of luring them out of their cages to come meet in a public space and hang out, talk about crazy stuff. If you're listening to the same podcast as someone else, there's a good chance you're going to get along. We have a new one being announced here. Far, far away, all the way in September. I like having them planned so far in advance. We've got, let's see here. Where is this?
North Carolina, Crystal Coast on Labor Day weekend. And yes, this is from Nancy. She is taking a step out in faith and putting together a meetup And I like people that are able to schedule and organize well ahead. You have several months to prepare yourself.
Several months. Yes, September 2nd at 11:30 to 1:30 at the Gazebo at Union Point Park, New Bern, North Carolina. Go check it out. It'll be up there on canarycrimemeetups.com. What other meetups we got?
We also have the Alaska meetup being scheduled on March 11th. That's Saturday, 3/11, 3:33 p.m. Alaska Standard Time at the Eagle River. Eagle River. Venue to be announced, and there's an email address, sbboh@hotmail.com. If you go to Canary Cry News or canarycrimeetups.com, you'll see
if you're in Alaska or around Alaska or Canada or whatever, try to go to this. I'm very curious to see if there are Canarians up there. I know we have them. I can see them, and I've talked to them. I don't know if they're there now or if they're off hunting bears with their bare hands or something, but if you can make it to the meetup, please do.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also
tomorrow is the German meetup.
Right.
Germany meetup.
Right. The EU meetup, 11 a.m. at Skate Park Passau.
Cool. In Passau, Germany.
Yeah. So check that out. And by the way, Germany, big victory. I guess kind of a big victory because we didn't cover the story today, but Palantir, the company, the data thing, they were being leveraged by local police officers to use and to surveil citizens.
Yeah.
And some of the local citizens in Germany pushed back against that, and they actually won the case.
Great.
So Palantir cannot be used. Their data surveillance apparatus cannot be used by the local police officials. So that's a good sign, good win for Germany.
Yeah, good job, Germany.
Yeah, so celebrate that with some other people out there in the skate park.
If you're not in North Carolina or Germany or Alaska, which I would probably say most of you are not, go ahead and put on a meetup in your area, no matter where you are. There are Canarians near you. Just put on a meetup. Send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. Pick a place, pick a time, let us know about it, and we will tell the world. And it's a great opportunity to meet some cool people around you. Ratings and reviews.
This is fun!
Yeah, leaving ratings and reviews in Apple Podcasts and other places really helps us out. It's a great way to not only let us know what you think about the show, let others know what you think about the show, but also let the robots know what you think about the show. It's very helpful. You can even use AI to write a review. That would be a fun thing to do, although I totally missed it when somebody did that. I'm seeing a couple of reviews here. That's good news.
Okay. I see one.
Let's see. Since the 10th. Yes. Okay. We had one review since the 10th. Let's check it out. This is from Hopeful Sower in the United States. 5 stars. You need this podcast, says Hopeful Sower. As a homeschooling mom, this is an essential podcast for the lesson prep. Science? Stay on top of advances in science across the board, especially scary ones and penguins. National politics and geopolitics? Get all the info on all the sides without becoming unwitting pawns of any side. Art and fashion? Beastware updates, baby. Geography. So glad to know the correct spelling of California is actually COMMIFORNIA. Smiley face. All kidding aside, I make sure to never miss an episode of this podcast. Thanks, Basil and Gons, for all you do to keep us in the know. Well, thank you very much, Hopeful Sower. You know what? If anybody deserves a podcast that they enjoy, that can keep them informed and entertained 9 hours a week, it's homeschooling moms. So here's to you, homeschooling moms out there. Enjoy the show. Well, we didn't hit the 5 reviews, so instead, Hopeful Sower gets the big prize. The big prize is that you're the most important person. You get to join the most important person list. So Hopeful Sower, congratulations, Hopeful Sower. Get in touch.
Thank you for the review.
And the rest of you, what are you doing? Go leave ratings and reviews. Shame on you.
You told them not to, which is maybe why we didn't get any.
Yeah, I'm kind of going back and forth. I'm going on
reverse psychology.
Going with like an unstable parent type of
no
vibe.
Boundaries.
Doesn't seem to be working
no
very
habits.
much.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you to Jam for the links. Thank you to Runk Smash is on the list. I'm not sure what we're thanking him for, but I will.
He's supposed to send us stories. And
he sends us stories. So,
so
by the way, this thanks for the links thing.
Mm-hmm.
Go use canarycry.report.
Yes.
We will start fleshing out thanking people for links because we'll have a very organized back end and we can do that. So that's the way to get thanked. Thank you, Clankanifius, for the help. And other than that, folks, just share the show. Share it with friends. Share it with your family. Share it with the penguins. Share it with your dogs. Share it with the dogs, penguins. No matter how you share it, just share the show. Putting it on your social media is an awesome way to get started, but also it's a new world, folks. Build a balloon, attach some smoke bombs to it, and get into some hobbyist skywriting. That's right, hobbyist skywriting, the new hottest hobby. New hottest hobby sweeping the nation, because not only do you get a chance to send up a cool balloon, fill the sky with smoke, you'll be awarded for fighting climate change because it is technically chemtrails. And once your balloon types out the QR code for people to scan and find the best podcast in the metaverse, your balloon will then be shot down by an F-22 and make it on the news. This is the best way to share the show. You don't have to do it this way, just if you want to be effective, go ahead and do it. No matter what you do, we call it rattling cages, and all you got to do is walk right up to them, grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
Just ask Noah. Gonz, any last words?
Well, there's a few things between today and Monday when it comes to the Canary Cry calendar, but the 20th, our next show on Monday, very special day, Basil. It's President's Day, but more importantly, Shillzilla's birthday.
Oh!
Yeah. So we might have to dedicate a whole block to Chris.
Yeah, we will, because
we'll
we need an update on his career since his shakeup there.
His departure from CNN.
Yeah, what day is it? What
Monday.
day is the Monday?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Let's not forget. Clankanifius, can you remind us that Monday is Chris Shillzilla's birthday?
And if you use canarycry.report, send us your Chris Shillzilla discoveries.
Yes, send us all your Chris Shillzilla content
Analysis,
at canarycry.report. Make sure to go to canarycry-t-shirtcouncil.com. Go sign up. I'd love to scream your name on Monday's show. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake.
I love the Great Reset.
Feed him more.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world.
carries his son, all the way that you went until you came to this place. Even to your old age, I am he, and to gray hairs I will carry you. I have made, and I will bear. I will carry and will save. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. On their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Fun fact.
We're all gonna die.
Another fun fact.
This is not about freedom, personal choice.
When the news of the day gets to feeling like a maze, it's okay, don't be afraid if you don't know what to say. Canary, cry waits. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on, I head my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry waits. Canary, cry waits. Oh, canary, cry waits. Oh, the world's changing every day, each and every way you turn, there's another thing to learn. Reading in between the lines, thanking Jesus for our lives, and nice to see his glory shining like the sun. Run the race until it's done, come on everyone. Canary, cry waits. Oh, canary, cry waits. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on, I had my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry waits.
And your head's on poles. You can buy and you can sell. The only problem is eternity will. Tribulation, that situation. Every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. God is. There's a river of blood and bones, 183 miles long. The brothers gather and light upon. I wish this was only a song. Tribulation, that situation. Every knee will bow and every tongue will confess who the real God is. Who the real God is. Who the real God is. bad situation. Every knee will bow, and every tongue will confess who the real God is. Who the real God is. Who the real God is. Who the real God is.
Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun.
Bye, 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 bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support. I will say one thing, though. I love Canary Cry News Talk. It's got everything. It's the best podcast. I think Outside the Cage. You know what I mean? Hit the subscribe button. It's not fake news. Not at all.